Afternoon. It is 3 o'clock. I'm Joseph Bonanno live from the 104.5 The Zone studios. The Tennessee Titans will host the Cincinnati Bengals this Sunday at Nissan Stadium. Coverage on 104.5 The Zone starts at 9 a.m. with countdown to kickoff. Titans radio takes over at 11. Then you can catch Mike Keith and Coach Dave McGinnis on the call starting at noon. No Titans were ruled out for Sunday's game. Tony Pollard, Otis Reese, Jalen Duncan, Roger McCreary all questionable to play. In NFL news, Jags tight end Evan Ingram will miss the remainder of the season with a torn labrum. Also, Steelers ruled out wide receiver George Pickens versus the Eagles. Saturday in college hoops, number 2 Auburn faces Ohio State. Number 5 Kentucky hosts Louisville. And number 1 Tennessee on the road versus Illinois. Tip-off is at 4:30. The Vol Network coverage of that one starts at 4. Also, number 19 Lady Vols are back in action as they host North Carolina Central at 1 o'clock on Saturday. For all your foundation and repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once in your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
HL 104.5 The Zone Friday edition. Brett Doherty with you on a beautiful day in Washington, D.C. That is where we are. Hope you're having a great Friday. We are broadcasting live in D.C. in advance of the 125th Army-Navy game presented by USAA. We appreciate you guys tuning in to let us talk some college football. It won't be all Army-Navy all the time by any stretch of the imagination, but we do want to shine a light on America's game because it is significant and because they are highlighting the 101st Airborne Division.
It's pretty cool.
At Fort Campbell. So that's going to happen today. There she is. She's Babsy Davenport.
What up?
What up, Babsy?
I'll tell you what's bunk. It's cold as you know what here in D.C.
So are you saying that Tennessee cannot win at Ohio State? Is that what you meant by that? Because of the cold weather?
Yeah. I think that Tennessee's probably, Knoxville is probably more used to this cold weather than we are at this point.
Well, and we're going to talk about that game with a lot of people that cover college football. So that's going to happen today. Babsy, what are you doing? So we tried to set up the Zone.
Sorry, guys.
We tried to set up the Zone TV feed, and
I was trying to help all our chat viewers.
Yes, we are not engineers, but so you can look at the logo. But you can still communicate there on Twitter, Facebook Live, Twitch.
Twitch, please.
I did that in such a bad
What
order.
are you doing?
I don't know.
No. Let's go, Mayor. Let's go, Mayor.
Facebook Live, Twitter, I don't know. What do I do?
Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch.
On YouTube, Facebook Live, Twitter, and Twitch. There you go.
Twitch, please.
It's been a long day. I'll go ahead and tell you.
Already?
Yeah. And plus there's generals walking around, like there's a certain amount of pressure when that happens. Ron Slay's here.
I'm in the building. You better be ready. And the car ain't got no roof.
Oh.
We've got a lot going on today. We are going to visit with Brian Jones from CBS Sports, get his take on the college football playoff. That's coming up at about 3:30. 4 o'clock, Rob Stone from Fox Sports and the Triple Option Podcast with Urban Meyer and Mark Ingram. He'll join us. We're going to talk. He's involved with the Big Ten. Big Noon Kickoff.
That's right.
He's involved with that, so we'll get his take on Ohio State specifically. Greg Cosell will join us at 4:20, NFL matchup, NFL films, and he will talk about the Titans-Bengals matchup coming up, and I guess we can walk a little bit through that Titans-Jags game. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's there.
It's there. You watched it multiple times.
I did.
I can't believe it. Also coming up at...
I don't ever want to talk about it again.
Coming up, I think at about 4:45, we're going to visit with former NFL coach Ron Rivera. And we're going to ask him how he got the nickname Riverboat Ron. He also has a very good familiarity with your brother.
Yes, Big Savage.
How did they know each other? Just from the league?
The football world.
Okay, but Ramon never played under him or anything like that. They just know each other from that world.
We're also going to ask him about Will Levis and his thoughts about Will Levis. Chris Button from ESPN, she's got stories about her time in Knoxville. She was there to witness Philip Fulmer get gone, Lane Kiffin and the mattress burnings.
That is an epic night.
Butch Jones, and she's on the sidelines for ESPN.
Derek Dooley, too.
Derek
Dooley. You can't leave that out.
Nope. Yeah, that's definitely true.
Jacob, that's a hell of a run in Knoxville, by the way.
That's right.
A horrific run.
Jacob Hester will join us. We'll talk college football with him at 5:20, and then we're going to close the show with Major General Brett Sylvia, the commanding general of the 101st Airborne Division at Fort Campbell. So we are looking forward to that, and I got to say I'm a little intimidated.
I mean, you should be.
Not right?
Yeah.
I mean,
commander, major commander, generals, and all that wrapped in one.
He has 6 bronze medals, a Purple Heart.
No, with Purple Heart is enough. Like when that's mentioned, the whole game is changed. It's a game changer.
So remember last year we had the Secretary of the Army on, and Christine Wormuth, I think her name is.
Yeah.
And she's been walking around. But I looked through her education, and she sat down, and the first thing I said to her was, I'm not smart enough to talk with you. And she didn't know how to take that, but she understood like what was about to happen, and I think she had a good time.
Yeah.
I had a blast.
We always have a good time.
Yeah. Army 11-1, Babs. You've seen them. They're obviously a very good football team. Last time out against Tulane, first team in 20 years, at least 20 years. No turnovers, no punts, no penalties. This is a very well-coached team with a great quarterback.
Great quarterback, and it all revolves around Bryson Daly, right? Captain America.
Yeah.
That's what everybody calls him.
Roger Staubach.
Yep, everybody, his players, whenever I covered their game, his teammates talked to me and said he just does everything right all the time. And that includes right decisions in the game. From a time of possession standpoint, this team is scary because you know that you basically you don't have many chances offensively to score or to do much if you're Navy, because you know that Army is going to keep the ball for a long time, and it's hard to get it out of them. You know, I mean, that North Texas game, I want to say they had like a 37-play drive, touchdown drive, or something.
Yes.
Something
it's
insane.
Like 19 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So they are fascinating to watch, and it all revolves around their quarterback, and he's now, I guess, healthy or somewhat healthy. But yeah, they're fun. And I remember Coach Monken saying, you know, we're not bigger, we're not faster, we're not necessarily stronger than anyone. So if we don't prepare, if we aren't perfect, if we don't fight really, really hard, then we don't win games. And so that's this team's mentality. And then you flip it on the other side, and guess what? That's Navy's mentality, too. We're not bigger or stronger or faster than anybody we play, and so we better be the most prepared.
Well, in Navy 8-3, they're a very good football team as well, and we've been to these matchups where they're just incredible football games because it's Army-Navy. It's just always going to be incredible. I always tell people, like, this is a bucket list thing for you to be able to do it. Tickets are through the roof here in D.C., but Navy, very good football team as well. We're looking at 19-4, the combined record. So Navy at 8-3, they're in third place in the AAC.
Yeah, guess what? Navy also, everything goes through their quarterback, right? And Blake Horvath and what he's been able to do. The thing with Navy that fascinates me too is that, yes, it's that option that we normally see, but they kind of, it's almost like a hybrid. There's been all these nicknames for it. Hybrid wing T offense is what some people are calling it. Millennial wing T has been like the one nickname, which, by the way, OC Drew Cronick is like, I don't know. I don't really know if I love that. He was like, I just call it like a hybrid wing T. But basically, I mean, they ran empty one week. You know, they come in with a bunch of fullbacks, and Dabo Fofana, who's one of their guys who's been there, forever. Super smart, applied physics guy who can knock the heck out of you, right? Just run through you. Yeah.
That's Ron Werner. Remember him?
It is.
I mean,
applied physics. Well, I saw he just got accepted into the Navy Medical School.
Oh, wow.
As well. So he wants to be a doctor, surgeon. I don't know.
Why not?
Why not? Yes. Anyway, so their offense is really fun to watch too, and there you go. It's these two quarterbacks are ridiculous.
So the Army is favored by 6.5 in this game, and it's interesting because last week it was 1.5, and so all the money's been going toward Army in this matchup. The one thing that usually hits is the under, but I'm not messing with this game at all. I've been to enough of these to know that you just cannot figure out
you don't know how it's going to
go. You really don't.
No pattern or anything.
No, first meeting was in November of 1890. Navy won 24-0 that year. Navy leads the series 62-55-7. Army has won 2 in a row. They've won 3 out of 4. They're 6-2 in the last 8 after Navy won the 14 games in a row. The ranked team in the matchup has, when there's one ranked team and a unranked team, has won 15 straight in this matchup. So there is that bit of statistics for you. A guy walked by earlier and he said, "Why do they call it the Army-Navy game? Why don't they call it the Navy-Army game?" And he was wearing a Navy hat. And I go,
"Oh, there you go."
I go, "You know what? I don't know the answer to that question."
No.
My response was, it's alphabetically.
Yeah, that's what I would have went with.
That's what our engineer Cliff said, alphabetical. Yeah.
Is that where you would have gone? We're on the same page, Cliff.
Yeah. It just kind of rolls off the tongue, Army
Makes
Navy.
sense. It sounds a little different.
So what I told him was, the whole idea is to sing second.
Yep.
The losing team sings first after the game. Mm-hmm. The winning team sings second. And I said, well, wouldn't you want to be, second if you're a Navy guy?
Because he let them
Army,
know.
Navy.
This is how it's established already, so this makes it easy for us to sing second. You ain't got to mix nobody around. You ain't got to do that.
125th meeting. And
this is dope.
Man, standing on the sideline, watching the march-ons.
It's the best.
Slay loves the prisoner exchange because they go wild.
Man, they go wild. Boy, it's a party in the stands.
They run so fast.
Yes, they do. And they jump the wall. They don't go up steps or anything. They jump into the arms of their friends and their teammates and just going on up there.
So many great items. And you can catch this game, I think, 2 o'clock kickoff Central Time on CBS and watch these guys who will ultimately serve our country. So much bigger of a life pattern for them than just football. But, man, they're all in. They're so invested. And we are too. All right, when we come back, we're going to visit with a couple of guys that served. One Army guy, one Navy guy. We'll tell you more about that when we come back. Also, Brian Jones in the next segment. And
B. Jones.
He's one of our favorite people that we have on the show. Mm-hmm. I mean, just brings a ton of energy. He and Slay go after each other with the Tennessee-Texas thing. It's going to be fun.
Did you horns down, B?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It will never be you know what?
Are you going to do it right when he walks up, or are you going to ease into it?
Wait till he has a mic on.
Yeah, we'll see how this goes.
We'll see how it goes. That's coming up next. 3HL 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening out there, man? Fellas, I'm talking to you right now. You got to listen up and listen clearly. When you're out there feeling a little drained, you're tired all the time, and you're just not feeling like yourself. When you roll over and your feet hit the ground, that means you ain't ready to get in the game, man. I'm the coach. I'm calling the timeout. You need to get over to GameDayMen'sHealth.com so you can get in the game. It's 2 locations that you can go and visit, one in Green Hills, one in Hendersonville. Both do the exact same thing. You're probably wondering, I'm cool, Slay. No, 1 in 4 men aged 30 and older experience T-levels needing to be tested, and that percentage increases as you age. So, low testosterone, weight loss, peptide therapy, and even more. Here's the best part about all of it, though. You go get your consultation and lab work, If you're not comfortable with it, it's completely free. Keep your resorts under no obligation to move forward if you don't think this fits you. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com to find out more information. You can book an appointment online right there. No reason to delay getting the game today with GameDayMen'sHealth.com.
Make sure you stay with us here from Radio Row in Washington, D.C. for the Army-Navy game. Want to tell you about Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville, too, because they're the best. And I know because I replaced my windows and my doors with Pella of Nashville. And maybe you're in the spot where you know you need to upgrade something in your home, like those windows and doors, and maybe you really feel it now that it's gotten cold outside and your doors and your windows aren't sealing anymore. We figured it out in the summer when it was hot and bugs were coming into our windows. So call Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. And they were phenomenal. And here's the best thing about Pella. Well, there's a lot of best things about Pella, but lifetime warranties on their windows. And then they back up their work with warranty, a 10-year labor warranty, which is leading in the industry. So from sales to installation to service after installation, Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville has the staff in place to support you, the customer, and take care of all of it. They got a deal going on to support you, too. Ask for the Dawn deal, 50% off qualifying installations and no money down, no interest, no payments for 12 full months. 615-249-1910, or just go online, schedule a free consultation. Check out that offer, PellaNashville.com.
3HL broadcasting live in advance of the Army-Navy game presented by USAA. The broadcast location, Military Women's Memorial Museum at Arlington National Cemetery. This is the 125th event of Army-Navy. USAA, the proud presenting sponsor of the Army-Navy game, America's game. We've got Rob Braggs, VP of Property and Casualty Insurance of USAA. Rob, how are you?
I'm awesome. How are you, sir?
Who do you want to win?
Oh, come on. I eat, sleep, and breathe beat Navy, so I wake up beat Navy.
Bill White, Senior VP and GM of Life Distribution and Service, USAA. Bill, who would you like to win?
Go Navy, beat Army. It's going to be great.
Real simple.
Can't wait to see it.
We were talking earlier when you were in school, you had a responsibility. Everyone had a responsibility to know how many days there were until the next game.
That's right. So you had to know 2 dates about beating Army. How many days until the next time we beat them in football, and how many days until we beat them in anything else. So it was, you could be stopped by any upperclassman and say, hey, Midshipman White, how many days until we beat Army? And you have to tell them those 2 things.
What Bill's not telling you is that they took off their shoes so you can start counting. That's what he's not telling you.
Rob, the Army has had success this year, 11-1. It's been a minute since Navy has won this game. Yeah. I'm sure you've had some things to say to Bill.
I have. In fact, every time Bill talks about the last time they beat Army, I ask him, can you count that far? And so, we're excited about the game.
Yeah.
It's been a great season.
Yeah.
Navy's had a great season as well.
Yep.
So it's looking forward to a great game where we come out victorious, as always.
We talk about how great this game is, even when the records aren't what you would like them to be. But to think about, 19-4 between these 2 teams, I mean, this is something. This is going to be fun tomorrow.
It's impressive. Both teams are, really on a roll this season. And I think both quarterbacks are playing well. Offenses are great. So it's going to be a real showdown.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe Rob's a little more vocal this year. Maybe.
He's learned his lesson. He's learned his lesson.
So normally when I come into these conversations, I let Bill get the upper hand. So I'm on the offensive early and often, just like the game tomorrow. Army offense early, often.
They're going to need it. They're going to need it.
The smack talk is there.
They're going to need it.
Always there.
They're going to need it.
Rob Braggs and Bill White with USAA. They're on both sides of this coin, so to speak.
Anxiety for you guys walking into this game. What's your feeling? Like, of course you're gonna win. It shouldn't be anything else. But what makes the hair stand up on your arms when you see this? Is it the cadets? Is it the prisoner swap? They know
the prisoner.
That's my favorite thing. I love that.
Prisoner change is great.
What is it for you guys?
The thing that I worry. Because especially as a parent, right? I have kids of my own, college and above, and I think to myself, those young men that are going to put on the pads tomorrow and go at it, there's a lot of pressure on them.
Yeah.
Right? So whether they're playing for the AAC championship, right? Whether they're playing, big bowl game, whatever it is, Army-Navy, I mean, that's as big as it gets.
Yes.
Right? And especially the way we live our lives at these schools, it's a huge, huge burden. So for them to go out, my prayer for these young men that are going to play the football game tomorrow is that they just go out there and that they have their very best games, right? Every single one of them. Injury-free, very best games, show off their talents, great teammates, and, fight to the finish.
Mm-hmm. So for once, Bob, we both agree. But for me also, I think it's just the pageantry. The game is special. But if you're there and you see, like, the flyovers, you see the cadets.
Which one is faster?
Oh, which one brings more damage? Anyway, you see
same answer. Same answer. Those are the same thing.
Bill digresses, but you see the cadets, midshipmen in the stands, jumping up and down. Yeah. It's such an experience that for me is just going to the game and just being able to experience one more time the passion and energy that is Army-Navy.
Take a snapshot over the years. You've been coming to this game forever. Yeah. What's one game that you think back to that was more special than the other, or a moment in that game where you were like, this is different?
Wow. Okay, so I'll go first because Bill liked this one. So I was a senior, so it was my last Army-Navy game. At the time, we were 2-1. We won 2, lost 1. And losing just sucks. I mean, it just sucks the life out of you, right? You get up and you get down.
Yeah.
And we had a lead going to a fourth quarter. Navy drives down. We stop them on third down. It's 4th and goal from like the 2. And like, what are the chances that a kicker misses a kick from the 2? You know, with time running out, they line up, they kick, they miss. We go crazy. So for me, it was just, not only did we win the game, but Navy lost the game.
Yeah.
You just can't buy that.
So is that more important? That Navy lost?
Seeing the crestfallen looks on their faces when they snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. You just can't. I mean, that just fills my cup.
People always tell you who they are. People always tell you who they are.
Yes, I am petty.
Yeah, they never lie. My senior year, we had lost 3 times, right, to Army. And so we won with about 30 seconds left on a field goal. The field goal was kicked by a young man whose last name is Shank.
Oh.
It's like Shank, but with an E. Oh. And so we're sending this young man out to kick a nearly 40-yard field goal in the freezing weather in East Rutherford, New Jersey, right? Yeah. And we're all sitting there looking at each other like, oh, man, what's going to happen, right? And thank the Lord, right down the middle, right through the uprights, win the game. Hallelujah.
At what point does Shank become a kicker?
Man, I mean, seriously, right?
He'll let one go.
Oh, yeah.
His parents had to be like, listen, son, there are a lot of things you can do.
Yeah. Talk about overcoming adversity.
Yes,
right?
that's
it. He is capable of anything. That's it.
Rob Braggs and Bill White with USAA, proud sponsors of. What does it mean for you guys as a company to sponsor this game?
Well, it's right in the center of who we serve. So we have 14 million member families around the world, really, that we serve. And we are here to help them achieve financial security. So military families, they deserve the very best. They deserve the very best service. So what we're trying to do is make sure that our brand is front and center at events and on shows that they watch and appreciate. So this gives the men and women of these 2 schools, just like when Army plays Air Force or Navy plays Air Force, same thing. We sponsor academy football, and we want our members to see that we are invested in the core of what we do as a military.
Yeah, I agree. And Bill and I both lead large teams of folks who talk to members every single day, and they pay attention to these games. And so it's important to them that we're visible and we're present and supporting our future leaders as well. So I think it's just a matter of we're visible, present, and able to show our support in a way that's very meaningful and tangible.
I'll tell you what, there's a lot of people that have paid attention to Academy football this year. These teams have been so much fun to watch.
They really have. And again, to your message, we've got Fort Campbell just right up the road.
Right.
And the 101st is being honored in this game, and I really love that. Yeah. What does that mean
With
to
the
you?
best
It means the most.
Yeah.
It just so happens my classmate is actually commanding the 101st now. So I know it's a big deal for him to have Army Navy representing his unit. So it's special, and I think that every time Army suits up and is able to represent a unit in the Army, it shows our connection to not only the football game, but to the broader Army, which is very important to the folks who support our team.
And this year's Navy uniform is from the Bounty Hunters.
It's so cool.
A strike fighter squadron.
Yeah.
So it was an F-14 squadron when I was flying the Tomcat, and I mean, let's face it, it's a cool logo, right? So it really is. It's great.
Views not a beholder. I won't say it's cool, but Bill thinks it is. We'll let it go.
To Rob's point, it reflects the fact that these schools are invested in the fleet and in the Army, out there, and the Marine Corps, the Navy Marine Corps team. So we want to make sure that we represent who we serve.
How fast do you go in the Tomcat?
We weren't allowed to go Mach 2, but I did once go Mach 2.
Yes. That's rolling.
You had to. Just had to.
Yeah, just had to. Just had to make sure that it was,
What did that feel like?
It's different.
I mean, what kind of adrenaline?
It's different. It's funny. At that altitude, because you're farther away from the earth, you don't have the sense of speed. But I was a little nervous because it was beyond what was the published limits. And I thought, what's going to be more embarrassing, dying or dying having broken the rules? I'm not sure. So that was, we got back and the paint was a little skewed, honestly. Wow. The paint was a little skewed.
So the scene in the second Top Gun movie where he's pushing the limit?
Yeah, he's pushing the limit.
Did you have anxiety watching that?
I'm like, oh, this isn't going to end well. It's not going to end well.
I've been there before.
Not going to end well. He was a little faster than our speed, but still, I'm like, oh, it's not going to end well.
Well, you didn't end up in a diner.
No, it's true. It's a great scene.
Yeah.
It's a great scene.
That is. Hey, guys, really appreciate you and what you do for our military community that's obviously we have close to home and everyone around the world. Thank you.
Is it ever too late to go and retrieve somebody to help them out as far as, like in school you go back and you didn't finish your degree? Like what you all do, Is it ever too late to kind of help lend a hand to someone that maybe didn't have you all as a resource? How do you go about reaching out to them?
Well, here's the thing. The military is the place where people can achieve the American dream.
Right.
Absolutely.
There are a lot of people. Fellow he's a 2-star general in the Marine Corps, Bob Softy. He was my plebe company mate. He ran away from home when he was 16. He joined the Marine Corps when he was 17. He served on active duty as a Marine for a few years. He got sent to the Naval Academy Prep School, graduated from the Naval Academy, flew fighter jets for the Marine Corps, and he's a 2-star general. I mean, that is the American dream.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? And so I think it is incumbent upon us as leaders in our community to find places where young men and women can get a great mentor.
Yep.
That's a coach. That's a pastor. That's a neighbor. And give them an opportunity to be part of something bigger than themselves, whether that's scouts, whether it's a sports team, it's a choir, whatever that is. Make it happen. Make it happen. These young men and women are amazing. America is in great hands, and tomorrow you're going to see it, in full effect.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 2 things we agreed on. Third thing, beat Navy.
Hey, beat Army. That'll be awesome. Let's go, bro.
Rob Braggs,
Appreciate
Bill
y'all.
White, USAA, and if you need these guys, USAA.com is the website, the presenting sponsor of the Army-Navy game. Thank you, guys. Thanks. Love having those guys on, man. Mach 2, Cliff, our engineer, looked it up. That's 1,534 miles per hour in a plane.
That's pretty fast. That's pretty fast.
Who going that fast?
Tennessee's offense.
They ain't gonna go no Mach 2 in that freezing cold up in Columbus.
I got something on my chin. Hold on. Let me get this.
I'm just saying. I think they're gonna win.
Oh.
I'm pulling them.
I knew that was my dog.
I'm pulling for that other UT.
I knew that was my dog up there.
I'm pulling for them.
Wait, what happened? What happened?
What do you mean what happened?
What, UT? You're pulling for the other UT?
I'm pulling for that.
That's my
I'm
dog.
pulling for my UT and that other
That's
UT.
my dog. That's my dog.
Slay's had such an impact on your life,
Man,
Brian.
no. I just look at the facts now. I will
Just talk
tell
about
you,
what you see.
Ian Maliava, he hadn't played well on the road.
That's right.
That's been his downfall.
That's right.
On the road.
That's
but
right.
Sampson can hold on the rock, get over those fumbling problems, and that defense, I think they're going to give OSU some problems.
Mm-hmm.
But they better come ready because OSU plays the same kind of ball they play in the SEC. Smash mouth. I am not sold on Will Howard. I'm sorry.
Neither are we.
Not sold on him. And
Slade been talking about that all year.
We saw what he did in the Michigan game. Now, some of that's on the coaches because they didn't use their lethal weapons out at the receiver position.
Yeah.
But I think Tennessee defensively, I think they can hang with them.
Mm-hmm. Brian Jones with CBS Sports with us on 3HL. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the weather. So Dylan Sampson's from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, so I guess he's just going to suddenly forget how to carry a football.
Everyone keeps acting like, no, you learn how to play in the cold,
Right? I mean,
And
you're from Texas, right?
Yeah, but where I grew up, it was 4 seasons. We'd have snow and we'd have weather like this. It'd get in the teens. So you learn how to deal with it, and when the prize is that huge, you figure out a way how to deal with it when you have something on the line such as they have.
That's right.
So where do you go with this? You mentioned both quarterbacks. So is the idea, do you think, game plan wise offensively for both schools kind of the same, like try to establish that run game and not have to have your quarterback win the game and make those hero throws?
Well, I know OSU, there's a reason they go out and they get a Jeremiah Smith and they get all the other guys they have at the wide receiver position.
Incredible.
Because they want to chuck it around, and they're pretty good at it. And for some reason they got away from that in the last game versus Michigan. Now, conversely, their defense is damn good, especially in the red zone.
Right.
But Michigan was able to find some, running the rock. Indiana, even then getting beaten down by them, they were able to run the ball.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's Tennessee's forte.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a running quarterback such as OSU. So, no, you want to establish the run, but you're not always going to be successful. But when you need to run, especially in these type of games, that's when you want to get it going.
I think you look at it and you watch that defense, the guys coming off the edge, Joseph, James Pierce. Yeah, and then you also got 4 or 5 guys interchanging right there at the tackle spot with Ohio State missing that center. That communication a little bit different to them guards right there. A little couple twists up front. You look up, Will Howard on his back. Then the Boo Birds started to sing. Ryan Day, he started to get stiff like he saw when he was the fight. Little khaki pants don't look the same no more. I'm just saying, things can change defensively.
Doesn't he look a little constipated? Like he always constipated.
Something's wrong. That's all I'm saying.
How much you making?
Yeah, you should be calm.
Man, you lost one game. You lose to one team, Michigan. You beat everyone else.
Yeah.
And he never looks like he's having a good time.
No.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay. Smile every now and then.
That's all.
1-4 against Michigan will do it. Yeah.
And so he's the John Cooper of Michigan right now. And if you remember, John Cooper beat everyone except for Michigan. Reason he's out of there.
Yeah.
Ryan Day and Chip Kelly. This falls on him too, especially that last loss. I just didn't understand the game plan, and things change when you're in the action. I get it, but they didn't throw nearly
They didn't
enough.
take any shots.
None. Right. And that was the worst part of the Michigan defense is their back end. They had starters out galore there. But I'll say this about Tennessee. I sat there and I watched them versus Georgia, and hell, they were putting up a good fight. And then what happened? Much like my Longhorns, now twice. But Tennessee, I was like, okay, they might get this bad boy between the hedges.
You know what?
Apart.
They were down 7 in the second half. They had a 4th and 2. They were going to go for it. They get a false start.
Yeah.
Goes back to 4th and 7. They punt the ball. Georgia goes down the field, scores, separation of score, 2-score lead.
You know what else
Done.
was a big turning point? On the punt return, the damn punter comes down there and makes the dang tackle, the Aussie dude. Hey.
So did.
I mean, who's that, 23?
They're all Aussie dudes.
All of them Aussie.
Nowadays, they go after them.
You be profiling the punter. Why y'all profiling punters, man? Y'all racist. Come on. They all Aussie.
Punter racist. What you see out of your Texas Longhorns, though?
Oh, hell. Why you got to bring them up,
I'm just saying,
man?
I mean, they happen to be UT, you know what I mean? So, the other one.
I'm still trying to get over last week's game.
Hey.
I watched the game tape as I do every week, and it was excruciating. I can't tell you how many drugs I took while I was watching that. It was a lot.
Second half, would you have thought
Took
about
drugs then too? No.
Second half, first half, take a break.
Thank you, Gummy.
The second half, though, would you have thought about putting Arch in to run it off?
I would have thought about putting my ass in. Anybody, somebody who can complete a pass. There were plays to be made.
Yes, there were.
That last defensive pass interference on Georgia. The guy's open. Lead him. You get a touchdown. I've been saying this since Bama ruled the SEC, and they haven't fallen that far off. I know they're not in the playoffs, but still, you're not going to beat teams such as Bama, such as Georgia, kicking field goals. You got to score touchdowns, man.
Yeah.
That should have had at least three touchdowns in the first half.
That's right.
And then again in the second half. And then flip over to the defense. You got a backup quarterback in. I'm putting everybody in the box. You're not running this ball. You're going to have to prove to me you can pass, young man. Yeah. And if you can,
Freshman
we'll tip your hat.
right?
Yeah. We'll tip our hat to you if you are successful in doing so.
But go down swinging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they put back in for the last play. Motherfucker can't even raise his arm. You know he ain't passing.
At all. Like, damn the pass. Show me something you can do with your left arm.
Boom. I'm going to hit you before you even get to the running back, man.
Yeah.
I was just perplexing watching that. So I still believe in them. They're a dang good football team. Clemson will come in piping hot off of the way they won, holding on after SMU tied them. I still believe in this team, but Georgia's our daddy. I just got to say it, man. They have made Texas look bad now twice. The entire game there in Austin, and then the entire second half last week.
Brian Jones, CBS Sports. How is Clemson in this thing, man? It's like you watch them all year, and you're like, man, they ain't very good, but here they are. Dabo's here.
Clemson like them roaches. They don't die. They multiply.
That's right.
Just when you think they gone. Raid? What's that?
The only thing that survives.
That's just had my hat.
That's Dabo, man.
I like that when they pretty raid. Yeah.
That's some Carol Keeper.
Yeah, it is.
Against NIL, and Dabo's like, look at us now.
Yeah. And
Thanks,
give him
Syracuse.
credit. Give him credit, man. They always find a way. And just quietly after Georgia thumped them, went about their business. Of course, lost to Louisville, lost to South Carolina, but they were in that ball game. Lenore Sellers.
Oh, man. How much fun is that guy?
A ton.
Freshman.
He is unbelievable.
Like
he changed his trifocals or something.
Yeah,
this season.
Yes. He went in Clark Kent mode a little bit different.
The growth rate of that guy this year, bigger growth rate in the country.
And now in the current landscape, what you going to have to spend to keep him? because it's all about roster retention and that portal. So now we got to not only go out and find us some new cats to complement this, we got to find a way to keep this dude because you know they're knocking on his door. But Clemson barely loses that game, 17-14. They got a good defense. This Parker kid, T.J. Parker, number 3. Texas, you couldn't block them Bulldogs. I don't know if you can block this dude. Maybe just block the rest of them. Let him have 1 or 2 sacks. Let him eat.
Let him get on out the way.
Let him get full.
Get full. Sit on in the corner. Relax, man. We got the rest of this.
That's the key.
Brian Jones with us on 3. Speaking of the ACC, what do you think about Belichick going to North Carolina, man?
At first glance, you're like, I don't know if he has the personality to win, but you don't have to have it. He doesn't have to go sit in front of mama and daddy. Deion doesn't necessarily do it, but he has the same selling card as Deion. You want to go to that next level? Yeah. Deion tells those DBs, wide receivers, what have you, I can teach you how to get there. He can teach an entire defense how to get there and an offense. Yeah. He knows so much football. And if you got the right bag, that's your selling point. He doesn't have to be the nice guy. But it's going to be interesting because he comes off as a curmudgeon as well.
I was about to say the exact word there. I mean, and he
great minds think alike.
But he was funny in his press conference. But then you saw just those little, those are coming back. And you know how the college game is. Like as the head coach, God, you have so many responsibilities as far as having to talk.
And these kids, man, and their different personalities. How many are you gonna kick off the team? Are you gonna have a team left once they piss you off? It's gonna be very interesting, and I'm sure a lot of people watch. But I won't be surprised if he's successful because if the kids buy in, I mean, learning from that dude, it doesn't get much better. Yeah.
I have a Texas question for you because, I just read all these crazy social media posts. Quinn,
why you do that to yourself?
I know.
Why you do
because it's fun.
Don't go down that rabbit hole.
It's entertaining.
Now, this is a good problem to have, right?
Okay.
But, Quinn Ewers is going to come back another year. I just read that one. And then somebody else was like, well, Texas doesn't want him. I'm like, no, because they got Arch waiting. And, I mean, what's...
Listen, Texas, the backup quarterback is always the most popular.
Always.
Once you
understand always has been.
Always has been.
And then you add the Manning name to it.
Right.
I mean,
yeah. I mean, except for when VY was there, of course, he was leading you to championships.
And
there was no one that could even come close to the talent that he possessed. But that's Texas. We're just nuts. And I can understand the frustration. Quinn, 24, 25 straight games. He's had a touchdown pass, but there's those throws, man, that you miss, especially in losses. And he had over 400 yards passing. I was like, damn, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
But when you need it, and I apologize, but I always say those stats, they're like that woman wearing a bikini. Show you a lot, don't show you everything. And clearly, and clearly, them stats he had didn't show you everything.
Have never heard that.
Good, you can have it.
Okay. Use it for it.
That's stats for you, though. They show you a lot, they don't show you everything. And it didn't show you that last pass, actually the last two were just bad. You got the PI, then the other one. I don't know who the hell he was throwing to.
He often doesn't set his feet.
That's the
so
problem.
we talked with Greg Cosell. We're going to do it today.
Yeah, that's my man. Tell Greg I said hi.
We would definitely do it.
He is the man.
But he evaluates film and he takes emotion out of it, and he's been on yours forever about that.
He doesn't. It's similar to these guys playing hoops.
Lower half.
Everyone wants to be Steph Curry.
Yeah.
Now everyone wants to be Mahomes.
Yep. Change your arm angle and all that. Yep. He messing up like it every time.
Fundamentals still matter. And and I wonder if Greg sees the same thing. There's a lack of awareness in the pocket. There's little intricacies that go with every position. And as a backer, I don't have to look down to feel those guys around my legs, linemen or whatever. I can feel it. I got peripheral vision, and I can sense what's happening around me. And you should have that at quarterback, at least the elite guys, when to climb up the pocket, when to roll out, get out of the way. Different things. And watch, I bet Greg would point out the same thing. But it's his feet. They're not set. Balls are underthrown or they're overthrown. And 3 years you've been the starting quarterback and you still have these issues. That's what bothers me.
Yeah, he said he's got to get his lower half fixed because, he said he's got a good arm, but you never see it. Yeah,
that's it.
Because
no
of
foundation.
His foundation.
Well,
You tell G,
and that'll
he's the
get
man.
you in the league.
He's
Yeah.
the best in the business.
I'll do it.
Co-self.
Brian Jones, always great to see you, man.
All right, appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you,
bro.
man.
All right,
All right,
and that was yours. That's like them. Say a man wearing Speedos.
Oh, there we go. That's even better.
Show you a lot, don't show you everything.
Well,
Thanks,
that's a little
Jones.
different. That's a little different, BJ.
Y'all put the Speedos on today. Show you too much.
Yeah, it's cold in here.
Will you go please put a coat on?
And now we have to go to break.
We do. We'll be right back. 3HL 1045 The Zone. Good to see you, BJ. Gupton Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. That's where you need to go to get that next new vehicle, man. Get it done before the end of the year. Maybe you've been thinking about it for a while. These are your guys, Daniel Gupton and his crew, ready to help you out. And here's the thing, man. If you're thinking about going the pre-owned vehicle route, they are your dealership for sure. $1,000 off every pre-owned vehicle in stock until the end of the year when you allow Gupton to arrange your financing. So think about that. You can check out the inventory online. GuptonMotors.com is the website. All the dealership information is there, address, phone number, deals they have going on in December, and the inventory. Again, $1,000 off every pre-owned vehicle in stock until the end of the year when you allow Gupton to arrange your financing. They've got oil change packages available for purchase in the service department. What better gift to give that special someone that is impossible to shop for? Get them oil change packages. Daniel Gupton and his crew ready to help you out. 3450 Tom Austin Highway in beautiful Springfield, Tennessee. Just 30 minutes from downtown Nashville. That's Gupton Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram.
What's happening, folks? KellumStemCellInstitute.com is where you need to head to. Get you some holistic stem cell therapy. Figure out why the inflammation won't leave your body. I'm telling you why it will not, because you're not tapping into your body. Your body, your cells, your solution. That's what you need to head over and do. Now, I had such great results with my knee when they had a direct hit with it that I wanted to expedite the results in my hip. So I went back to Kellum. I need to go back again and get another shot of the secret sauce. Now, what that does is the nanoparticles, it just communicates. It gets your cells moving, wakes them up. The factors function by increasing the energy and output of your cells. So the end result is faster healing and pain relief. And I'm living proof of it. All you got to do is call and get you a consultation today. 615-850-4415. 615-850-4415. Talk to Dr. Kellum yourself. That is Kellum, StemCellInstitute.com. Ha 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 ha.
3HL 104.5 The Zone, broadcasting live in advance of the 125th Army-Navy game presented by USAA. Don Davenport had to step away from the table for a second. Brent Doherty, Ron Slay with you. We've got Nate Boyer at the table. Nate, what's up? How are you, man?
Good, brother. How you doing?
We'll talk some Texas football here in a second. Mario Marquez, Executive Director of Government Affairs for the American Legion. Mario, how are you?
Good. Thanks for having me today. Appreciate it.
What is your involvement with this game?
So the American Legion is now an affiliated sponsor of America's Game. Why? Because as veterans, we want to make sure that our future service members and now members of both academies know that the veteran community has their back. And we want America to know that the veteran community supports our future military leaders as they're getting ready to go into their service. And so we want to have a big role in the game for the future.
Well, we appreciate you being here. Great to meet you, and thank you for your involvement.
It's a pleasure.
It's a great cause. Nate, great first year for Texas in the SEC.
Yeah. I mean,
wait. Where's the apprehension there? Yeah. I feel it.
We got 11 things to celebrate and 1 times 2 things not to. I mean, it's 1 play away in several different ways. 1 block away maybe from winning the SEC in the first year, and tough to lose to the same team twice. Georgia's a damn good football team.
Yeah, Nate played at Texas, if you didn't know. But how do you consume Texas games? Like, do you have to be by yourself? Like, do you get emotional, or are you cool?
I definitely get emotional, but I don't have to be by myself.
Okay.
It's everybody else's problem. I'm definitely not cool, though.
It's everybody else's problem.
Send me around. I'm watching the game.
Yeah. So I fortunately got to go to 5 of them this year.
Oh, awesome.
So that was really cool. And but yeah, if I'm watching on TV, usually it's with people. I don't think I watched any games alone this year. And I'm not holding back. You know what I mean?
No need to.
Yeah.
Could you feel a difference coming from Big 12 to the SEC, though, or was it kind of blown out of proportion?
I don't know if it's blown out of proportion. And to be fair, we didn't have the toughest SEC schedule.
We got
to honor that.
I'm glad you pointed that out.
It's true. It's true.
It is true.
Playing Georgia twice is tough.
Yes, most
definitely. A&M and OU. A&M had a decent year. OU had a down year for sure. And we played Michigan. We beat Michigan, who won the national championship last year. Certainly not the same team this year. So, when you stack all those things up, but we're in the right place. I think that's the conference we should be in, given everything that's going on right now and all the realignment and movements and all that stuff. And it's cool. It's exciting to look at the future and think about who we get to play, and rekindle. The biggest piece of this is rekindling A&M Texas.
Do you think Texas wins it all?
Of course I do. Of course I do. It's really hard to beat a team.
It's like asking Slade if Tennessee's going to win.
It's hard to beat a team twice. It's really hard to beat a team thrice. You know what I mean? So we got to get there, though. We still got a long road. We got to obviously. Clemson is a very good team. And I don't think Sark and the team is overlooking it. I think a lot of fans are already looking at Oregon or something. I'm like, guys, calm down. We got to beat them, and then we got to go beat Arizona State, and then you get a chance to play Oregon if you win those 2 games, and those are not going to be easy games.
Nate Boyer with us on 3HL. Obviously, you played at Texas, but what does Army Navy mean to you?
This is the most important football game every year in college and pro combined. I've been to 3 Super Bowls. It's awesome, but the feeling in the stadium, the pageantry and the emotions and what all these men and women are willing to do. I'm talking about all the men and women in the stands, as far as the cadets and midshipmen, and just knowing that it's the only game. Well, maybe not the only game, because there's the Air Force in that too. I don't want to discount them. But
true.
One of the only games, and certainly the one with the biggest platform, where everybody on the field is going to go fight for everybody in the stands and at home watching. And when I say fight for, serve their country, and that is very unique and very special. And for these seniors, certainly it is the biggest game of their lives.
Nate Boyer, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Mario Marquez, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good luck, guys. Always good to see you, brother.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All
Go
right.
Army.
Oh, go Army.
Go Navy.
Go Navy. Here we go.
Retired Marine, right?
Here we go. I got you. There we go. All right. More 3HL next on 104.5 The Zone.
Good afternoon. It's 4:02. I'm Joseph Bonanno live from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. The Titans will host the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday at Nissan Stadium. Coverage starts at 9 a.m. on The Zone with countdown to kickoff. Titans Radio takes over at 11 a.m. and Mike Keith and Dave McGinnis have the call starting at noon. No Titans are ruled out for Sunday's game, although Tony Pollard, Otis Reese, Jalen Duncan, and Roger McCreary are all questionable to play. Saturday in college hoops is a busy day. Number 2, Auburn faces Ohio State. Number 5, Kentucky hosts Louisville. And number 1, Tennessee on the road versus Illinois. Tip-off for that one at 4:30. The Vol Network coverage of that one starts at 4. Also, number 19, Lenny Ball's back in action as they host North Carolina Central at 1 p.m. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home of the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
HL 104.5 The Zone, broadcasting live in advance of the 125th Army-Navy game, presented by USAA. We are live at the Military Women's Memorial Museum at Arlington National Cemetery, and we're going to talk about college football now. Rob Stone joins us. You may have seen him with Fox Sports, Big Noon Kickoff, Triple Option Podcast. Tell us about that project.
Hey, anytime you're working with Urban Meyer and Mark Ingram, things are good, right? Things are good in my life. I got a national champions on both sides. I got a Heisman winner. Everything is good, man. And we got a nice little bond, courtesy of Big Noon Kickoff over the last couple of years. So it's been a seamless product for us.
Do you see a point in time where Herb gets back in the coaching world?
No, I don't. It's a
not
totally,
to move him past you, but
it's a totally fair question because remember, he left Big Noon Kickoff at one point and went to Jacksonville, and obviously that didn't work out great for him. And at that point, we were having those discussions, right? Like, hey, man, I could feel the pull for him, and I knew that Jacksonville had been pursuing him for years, and he still gets calls. Let's be honest. He gets calls every year, every month about something about college football, because when you've had that success, and you hear him, and he's got the recipe, you want to be a part of it. But right now, I look at him, and his biggest decision right now, it's not NIL, it's not re-recruiting players, it's chicken, steak, or fish. What am I going to eat?
That's a good place to be.
Rob Stone with us on 3HL.
Especially with NIL nowadays.
It's insanity.
Isn't it crazy how
absolutely
it's
insanity.
changed?
I was just reading about the Florida linebacker. His name is escaping me right now, and his demands. Yeah. He has demands that you don't even see at the NFL level, which is, I'm going to play on every third down. Wait, what?
What?
You're going to tell your staff that you are contractually obligated to play on every third down. Absolute insanity. To me, that's a guy who just doesn't want to be there anymore. Hey, you know what? Let me ask for the world. And if you sign off for it, whether it's financially or, scheme-wise, then I think we've lost the plot, and I think we're starting to lose the plot.
I kind of did that at a previous radio stop.
Yeah. No, that I did. How'd that work out for you?
I landed at the best radio station in the country, so there you go.
You went into the transfer portal as well.
Yeah, before it was a thing. Rob Stone with us on 3HL. So you obviously follow the Big Ten. What is Tennessee looking at with Ohio State? And maybe before we get there, how surprised were you that Michigan was able to go in there and do that as a 20.5?
Stunned. Nobody saw that coming. Nobody. And, I think the humble result that Ohio State got in Eugene earlier in the season was kind of that corrective weekend. Okay, guys, this is not working. This offensive line scheme is not working. We need to adjust some of these things. And everything was going in the right direction for them until what happened against Michigan. And, again, this is one of those games, and it's so cliche, you throw out the record book, but it's so true. It's kind of like Army-Navy, to be honest with you, right? Who cares who's up and who's down when these two, Goliaths collide, things happen. So the way it transpired and the way it happened in Columbus, and then the scuffle after was, we were all taken aback. I was on the field when that was happening. It was just kind of staring.
Wow.
I almost kind of felt like Ryan Day. Ryan Day was frozen in time, right? We all saw that. We saw that image.
Slay had an issue with that.
You should. And the optics were stunning. And we talked about it on our podcast, The Triple Option. And Mark kept saying, Rob, he was in a state of shock, and people have been there. I've never been in that moment where I'm in a state of shock, but they're playing Carmen, Ohio. They're playing their song that they they go to the crowd, and then all of a sudden he sees players peel off, and he stays through, and then he's just staring and looking. So I think it was a good week of where are we? Mm-hmm. What is happening? Licking the wounds, and now I think they're coming out of the darkness, if you will, in Columbus, and they've got a real stiff competition in an SEC strong program like Tennessee coming to town. So I think the way a lot of people are looking at it is kind of the way that people were looking at the Ohio State-Michigan game. It's going to go one of two ways. Ohio State's going to come out and lay the hammer. They're pissed off. This is not who we are. We're going to show you what the Ohio State really is. Or Tennessee's going to come in like, we're not worried about the horseshoe. Right. We're going to come in, and that first quarter, if it's even, you got a full game. So I don't know what Ohio State's going to show up, and we've been saying this all season long. Like if you look at Georgia, what Georgia's going to show up this week is going to be Georgia A, because that's your national champs. Is it Georgia B? They can lose right away. Is it Texas A? Is it Texas B? Ohio State A or B?
Isn't that crazy?
It's been a weird year in college football, and the only program to kind of ride it out is the team that's quietly been at number one for months now is Oregon. They're just sitting there under the radar.
And nobody really talks about them.
Nobody talks. And again, you know what that is?
Because people question their schedule, too. I mean,
that, and they're way out there in the Pacific.
It's so far away.
And it's 100% true. I mean, there is this bias against the West Coast. They don't get. I remember when Christian McCaffrey was up for the Heisman. I was like, that's the dude who should win it. And he's not going to win it because all the folks on the East Coast, and I grew up on the East Coast, are in bed and they're asleep. And listen, the voters have changed. They're a little bit younger now. They're more in tune with what's happening across college football across the whole day of Saturday and even the Fridays and some of the Thursdays now. But back then, it's hard. So I think Dylan Gabriel and Dan Lanning, they need to kind of remind people like, hey man, we're number one for a reason, and they are just so darn steady and faster than you think, and they're the deserved number one in the nation.
Speed, that's what I always talk about with them. They got that speed, yes. So let's go back. Obviously, we're a Nashville station, so we are also the flagship for the University of Tennessee. But
you guys don't have any orange on today, by the way.
Don't you worry.
There we go. Okay.
This guy
it's always in us, baby. It's tatted on us, baby.
By the way, Tennessee basketball on Fox tomorrow. I have to head back to LA for that game.
Perfect. You need to know anything. You can talk to the former SEC Player of the Year.
Let's go, man.
Yeah. So when we talk,
really good one.
We can talk about
a lot
that
of orange.
Later. We're here to talk football. Come on, boys.
It's all good. Hey, it's crossover sport.
No, but when we talk about the Tennessee-Ohio State matchup, we talk a lot about Tennessee defensively up front, and that's where a lot of us, well, at least me, that's where I feel like they have an edge and can really have an edge in this game. Your thoughts?
That's where Michigan had the edge.
Yeah.
And look how that played out, right? Yeah. Michigan's got 2 top 10 picks right up front, and they had their way. And Ohio State, if there is a weakness, 100% it's up front because they've been decimated. They've lost essentially kind of 2 All-Americans. Those are hard holes to refill. And, Coach Meyer was talking about it, and he's like, people don't realize that you traditionally do not have a lot of depth at the offensive line, right? Like you've got one center and a guy who can get plugged in. You got one left tackle and a guy who can slide over here, but it's not like you got five-star cats just sitting there like, hey, I'm ready to be your left tackle. Hey, I'm ready to be your right guard. Hey, I'm ready to be your center. I mean, my goodness, the center. And you lose a guy like McLaughlin when you did in that phase of the season, that's devastating, and for Ohio State to even, frankly, to be honest, to survive it is pretty impressive because a lot of other programs would not get to this point with just 2 losses. They need to heal. They need to get better. But 100%, they're going back and watching that Michigan tape and saying, this is where it was won or lost. And guess what? We all love the sexy quarterbacks and the wideouts and the running backs, and those are the things that get on the highlights. But the game is always won
in the trenches.
Down there in the trenches with the big boys. It's so simple and it's so easy to overlook, and it's an easy out to say, Jeremiah Smith and what they've got out wide. Well, guess what? If you're not protecting your quarterback, and Will Howard is constantly under pressure, and Tennessee is coming after him play after play after play, Tennessee's going to win that game.
Rob Stone with us, Fox Sports Triple Option Podcast. Sorry, Betsy.
What do you think about Will Howard? we're not sold.
Yeah, I think a lot of people aren't sold, and I think people are selling right now. He's had a couple games where not just interceptions, but bad.
Yeah.
Like Rob Stone is sitting on the sideline going, "Don't throw that." No, that's yep, to the house. Right? Like I saw that comment. Please don't, Yeah. And if I'm an Ohio State fan, I'm looking at my quarterback and I'm like, "Oh, we don't need him to try to squeeze stuff into little narrow windows because it's not happening." Chip Kelly and I think Ryan Day and the rest of the staff in that Michigan game, and a lot of this conversation is going back to that Michigan game, as it should. I think they lost confidence in him. I think the team lost some confidence in him. They couldn't block for that two-headed rushing attack of Henderson and Judkins. They had nothing deep. There was no big plays, threats. Yeah. Not even just throwing it up. And I think at some point, like when you got some of those cats at wideout, some of those freaks out there, let them do some stuff. Jeremiah Smith was double teamed almost the entirety of that game.
Get ready, it's coming again.
It is, as it should.
Yeah.
As it should.
It better.
And find those 5-yard slants. If they're going to give you these little 5 yards, then you take them.
Yep.
And you take them. Next thing you know, that's 20. Next thing you know, it's 25 and 30. So I think if you're Ohio State, you need to be patient. Try to build up Will Howard's confidence over the course of these next couple days. Right. And he's a confident cat. He's been in it a long time. It's not like he's some, sophomore who's finally getting his chance. He's a mature guy who's seen a lot of things. I think he's going to be okay, but if he throws a first quarter interception, right, then Ohio State's going to have some real issues.
I was when you look at the sport, when you have that much time to prepare, like in Ohio State, it's almost good to kind of turn around and get that bad taste out your mouth and play right away, whether that be inferior opponent or somebody that's top notch. In this situation, 2 weeks, you got to wait when you're going into this game, understanding the game, but the hoopla around it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With Ryan Day, everybody bearing down on him. It's there at Ohio State. You don't necessarily get away. What do you think? How magnified is that for Ryan Day? Not necessarily the team, but them being a mirror image of him and how he handles it.
For sure. I think it's a good thing if you're Ohio State. Because I don't think you could cleanse that palate in a 5-day window, what happened. I think they needed a full week to kind of get themselves straight again, to walk upright and be like, I forgot who we are, right? I forgot that you're a 5-star and you're a 5-star, and it's championship or bust mentality. And I forgot that our donors just spent how many millions of dollars on this roster to win the national title. What I found interesting was the words that came out of the athletic director's mouth, I believe it was yesterday, and he kind of alluded that he wants to take some of the focus off of Ohio State versus Michigan in the future and remind Ryan Day and the staff and the fans that there's a higher calling out there, right? Yep. And that's the national championship. And that's where they're still in contention for. But you bring that up to Urban Meyer and he loses his mind. He's like, you can't, wait, what?
The game doesn't matter?
Right.
There's something bigger than the game?
What? You know, and the AD is right.
Right.
And he's wrong at the same time.
Yep. I totally get that.
So night game is a rare thing, right?
Yeah.
Well,
this season in particular, apparently, I've heard. Yeah.
So we've heard, and I don't know how real this is. Have you heard this? That Tennessee fans are deluging sites and getting tickets. And,
as they should. Yeah. That's the beauty of college football. That's the beauty of sports. Why not? What was the allocation? I think like 3,500 tickets was mandated, and I think 1,500 was quote-unquote lower bowl, and the band and this and that. Hey, hey, listen, by the way, Ohio State does this everywhere they go. Right, like if Ohio State's on the road, they took over Wrigley Field when they took on Northwestern. That's not quite the same parallel. I get it. So Buckeye fans know about taking over stadiums. So if they let that happen in Columbus, when they are actually hosting a playoff game that may never ever happen again in our generation, just the way things work, like don't expect that you're going to be hosting playoff games on your campus ever again. If it's like I was telling somebody at Penn State yesterday, I'm like, go figure it out. I know, it's inconvenient. It's a tough place to get. I know you went to school there. But there's no guarantee that your team, A, will ever make the playoffs again.
Yes.
B, be in the position where they're hosting one of 4 games. Go. because there's going to be nothing like a college football playoff game on a campus.
Yes.
First one ever, too. Yeah.
It's been so much fun talking about college football.
Hasn't it been a fun season?
I keep saying college football's on crack. You basically said that.
Let it go, man. Let it go. Give me another hit. Yeah.
It's been so much fun. Rob, thank you for the time, man.
Anytime. Happy to.
Triple Option Podcast. Good luck with that project. You're surrounded by great people and Fox Sports as well.
Make sure you show Jemiah Mashack some love tomorrow.
Done.
Please.
Done and done.
Defensive player of the year, I'm telling you now.
I'll give you a shout out on the show tomorrow.
I was going to say, Ron Slade, boom, boom, boom. I'm sure you've heard that.
I love it, Ron.
Definitely.
Thanks, guys. Happy holidays.
All right, Greg Cosell coming up next. We'll break down Titans and who they got this week. I forget. Bengals. Yeah, Bengals. Who day? We'll do that next. 3HL 1045 The Zone.
You want to achieve hero status this year? I'm going to tell you how. And it starts with a Moment's Peace salon and day spa. I will tell you right now that anybody in your life will love a unique and thoughtful gift, always in style, always fits, always appreciated. That would be anything at a Moment's Peace salon and day spa. Here's the other thing that they do, and this is amazing. They have this concierge service. So you can either go in, you can call, or you can send an email and give them a list of your holiday gifts that you have to do. Mention 3HL, by the way, and they will pick somebody on your list and give them an MVP award as well. So this is what they do. They set up all your gifts for you. You tell them the amount that you want for each person. They will, boom, take care of it for you. It is the easiest gift giving ever. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you that a Moment's Peace salon and day spa makes everybody happy. Massages, manicures, pedicures, sunless tanning, waxing, spa parties, facials, skincare. They have a hair salon there. They do makeup. They do it all. Go ahead and give them a call. Moment's Peace salon and day spa. 615-224-0770. Gift cards available 24/7 on their website, amomentspeace.com, or just go ahead and stop by. They're at the intersection of Carruthers Parkway and Bakersbridge Avenue in Cool Springs. Be the hero this year.
3HL 104.5 The Zone. Britt Doherty, Don Davenport, Ron Slay, broadcasting live from the Military Women's Memorial Museum at Arlington National Cemetery. We took some time earlier to go see the Eternal Flame, John F. Kennedy and Jackie O. That was powerful.
It was. Slippery, too.
Yeah, wet marbles kind of. That's a good point, too, because I wasn't even thinking about it, and then you said it. I totally would have busted.
Yeah, that's
right there in front of that.
Yeah, I was nervous for everyone.
Yeah. Man, it's incredible. Like, I'd never been to Arlington National Cemetery, and
I had never walked around like that.
Christian Bove with USAA said this morning, he said, that's the most revered place in this country. And, I mean, it just hits you to your core when you walk through there and look at those gravestones. Yeah, very, very powerful moment. 125th Army-Navy game going on tomorrow. We will be there. And follow our socials. We'll be all over it. Greg Cosell joins us now, as he does every Friday. And, Greg, 2 weeks in a row, you get Don Davenport.
Hi, Cosell.
Don, what's happening? So you guys, I've been to Arlington National Cemetery. It's pretty sobering.
Oh, my gosh.
It really is.
That's a great word.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it just hits you.
Yeah.
So Brian Jones from CBS Sports came on with us earlier, and we told him that we were talking about Quinn Ewers, and we told him we were going to talk with you. But one of the things that you were concerned about with Ewers is his bottom half in terms of setting up and delivering the football, and he totally agreed. And he also said, "I love Greg Cosell. Tell him I said hello."
BJ's the best. Yeah, he's great. I love BJ.
So, did you actually analyze the Tennessee-Jacksonville game, and if so, how powerful was that? How sobering was that?
Yeah.
Well, of course I did. What do you think? I come on with you guys and not watch the games? Come on.
That one was pretty bad, Cosell.
It was a tough watch. I will agree it was a tough watch, but sometimes that happens. It was a little different than watching the Bills and the Rams, that's for sure. But what do you want to know?
Well, the one play we were just talking about was the play where Levis missed Chig, and he said that he hated to see a guy so wide open after he released the ball. But can you walk us through that play where they insert Big Jeff in as a tight end? He runs a route. He ends up throwing to Vanda with the incomplete pass with Chig wide open.
Yeah, I mean, it was essentially a misdirection play call. It's a great play call down because that was 4th and 2. That was probably the turning point of the game because they had 1st and goal at the 4 and they did not score. Obviously, there's not a lot to really evaluate there or to walk through. I mean, it's basically a pass where he just slightly angles his drop to the right, and then it's a throwback. And there's obviously 2 receivers there, but Chig is the read. And he just, for whatever reason, rushed himself. There was no reason to. There was no pressure. He just rushed himself. So therefore, he didn't get a clear picture. And he threw it to Vanette, who was obviously well covered, and Chig was wide open. And that was really the design of the play. So, look, Levis just made a bad play. There's nothing more to say. He just made a bad play. And in a game where obviously they didn't score a touchdown and there weren't a lot of big plays, that play really gets magnified. But he just made a bad read on 4th and 2. And, I mean, that was in the second quarter, so obviously there was a lot of time left. But the game, it just seemed like the game was different after that.
I felt like if they could have gotten the touchdown there and we've said this before about this team this year, but I felt like if they could have gotten the touchdown there and gone up 10-0, I didn't really feel good about Jacksonville scoring a couple of touchdowns.
No, and I would agree with that. It was interesting the way they started the game too. I mean, obviously, look, their first 8 plays were runs. 3 of the runs came out of 6 O-line personnel. And the first pass that Levis threw was, of course, the 9th play of the first possession. And it was really a no-read play. It was a tunnel screen to Ridley for 6 yards. Basically, the opening drive was 9 runs and 1 pass, with the first 8 plays being runs. So, I was saying this to my guys on the matchup show, because obviously we have a bunch of guys that work on the show, and we all watch tape, and I keep going back and forth on Levis. There's a part of me that believes, man, he shows enough where you think he can become a good player, and I'm not going to be, say, oh, he'll be a top 5 guy. That he can be a quality NFL quarterback, and then there's other times I'm just not sure. But at the end of the day, the kind of player that he is, he needs the things that they don't have yet right now. He needs a good O-line. He needs a really quality receiving core. Now, they do have a good run game. Pollard's had a terrific season. Yes. There's no getting around that. I mean, he's going to get 1,000 yards. He's had a really nice season. But, the other things they don't really have right now. And then you have to decide, and I'm sure they're having these discussions in the building, and they're not going to make any public statements, nor should they. They have to decide what their feeling is about Levis. I'd be very surprised, no matter what they feel, if they have a top 5, 6 draft pick, if they take a quarterback. That would surprise me.
Part of that probably because of the quarterback draft class too, right, Cosell? I mean, that's probably part of
I've studied each guy from last year, 2023 tape. Obviously, I can't study them yet this year because I'm in the middle of the NFL season. So I'll get to them starting mid-January because I always start with the quarterbacks. My sense is, from what I saw last year, and guys improved, no question, so I don't want to make this sound definitive, but I don't view this class as super high level. Now, that doesn't mean guys aren't going to be drafted high. We all know that. I'm just talking about what I think the tape shows.
Yeah. So to go back to the Levis, because, you sound like us. It's like one week we're like, okay, Levis can be the franchise guy. And then the next week we're like, no, he can't. But when you see the moments where you're down on him outside of the not having an offensive line, not having the weapons, that kind of thing, what stands out when he struggles?
You mean what? So what? In other words, what bothers me about him when I feel like I'm not sure?
Yes, exactly.
I think that his ball placement is not as consistently precise as it needs to be on the kinds of throws that would be viewed as more routine in the league. And obviously, there's not a ton of throws where guys are wide open, but there's throws that would definitely be considered routine and that you've got to make. And I think sometimes he just misses those. Even sometimes when they're complete, he doesn't give receivers an opportunity to run after catch when there's space to do that. I think that he tends to be a beat late with throws, not severely late where you go, oh my God, that's awful, but just a beat late. And that allows defenders to close. So, those two things would immediately stand out, Dawn. Because at his core, while he can run in a straight line and maybe run for a first down once in a while, he's a pocket quarterback at his core. He's not a playmaker. He's not a creator. He's a pocket quarterback. So he has to be really precise and detailed and nuanced in all the traits that make for higher level pocket quarterback play. And, he still needs work in that area. And by the way, that's not a surprise. I think he started 19 games in the league, and we all know that, a year ago he played behind the worst O-line in the league, and this year it's been better, but clearly up and down. Not good enough, but better.
Greg Cosell with us on 3HL.
Yeah, it gets like that, Cosell. What do you think about the big fellas up front defensively? How was their game in this game you broke down against Jacksonville? And I'm asking
this wasn't, I didn't think Sweat stood out as much in this game as he has a good part of the year, but I think overall for a rookie who's probably played a lot more snaps than they anticipated, right. The guy's a big dude, and I'm not sure they anticipated him playing this many snaps. Maybe they did, because they did draft him second round, right? Wasn't he a second round pick?
Yes.
Yeah. Simmons, I think Simmons played well. I think Landry showed up a little bit in this game, and I wouldn't say he's had a great season, but I think he showed up in this game. Of course, they played two different linebackers due to injury, so Gifford and Reese played. Gifford played every snap. Reese played, almost every snap. And Awuzie was back at corner, so he played only in the nickel. So he played outside, and they moved Brownlee inside because McCrary didn't play. But, the defense Slay, other than a few games here and there and a few moments here and there, defense has not been the problem for this team.
Right. Have you seen with going back to the offensive line, J.C. Latham a little up and down last couple of games?
Yeah.
Or is this just that wall probably hitting?
Look, I'm not Bill Callahan, okay, and but I think he's been a little too inconsistent based on the tape study in one-on-one pass protection, with too many snaps where he loses his technique. He tends to bend at the waist, and that gives up the edge. Now, that's a technique issue. I'm not going to sit here and say I know the answer how to fix it. Bill Callahan certainly does. I guarantee they're working with him on it. I think what they have to decide, and maybe they've decided it, and I'm just throwing this out, and maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. I think they have to decide if he's the left tackle or the right tackle, because he played right tackle in college. So I think that's a decision they have to make in their mind. They may feel he can be a great left tackle, and you just keep working with him. But I think that's one of the off-season decisions they'll have to make.
So just by watching the tape, would you move him back to right?
I would think about it, again, but I'm not there every day, Dawn, so I don't know how he's being coached. I don't know, how he's responding. To me, just based on tape study, and that's all I have, I don't have any more, I think it's something that you might want to think about.
What do you think about this matchup with the Bengals coming up this weekend? That offense of Cincinnati is humming. There is no doubt about it, but they're 5-8, and their defense is giving up points.
Their defense has been bad, but I think their quarterback's pretty good.
He's not bad.
Yeah, he's got a chance. I think when you play that team, you got to defend outside the numbers. He and Chase outside the numbers just eat people up. So I don't know if Awuzie is now going to be back as a starter, given that, he was back in his first game and he only played the nickel. He very well could be back starting this week. I don't know if you guys have any information about that, but you have to, outside the numbers, they just kill people. Because the thing about Burrow is if he sees one-on-one outside the numbers, and when I say one-on-one, it doesn't necessarily mean it's man coverage, but outside the numbers, even zones become man. You've got to play the guy outside the numbers. If Burrow sees that, he's throwing the ball. And you just can't let Burrow to Chase eat you up, and they eat up a lot of people.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting on Sunday. Somehow Cincinnati just a 4.5-point favorite in that game. But
cool, Burrow.
We appreciate the evaluation, Cosell, as always, and have a great weekend, man.
All right, guys, enjoy Army Navy.
Thanks, Cosell.
Thank you. There he is. He's Greg Cosell. When we come back, former NFL coach Ron Rivera will join us. We'll get his take on Will Levis, that and more. 5 o'clock hour, Chris Budden from ESPN, Jacob Hester, and Major General Brett Sylvia, the commanding general of the 101st Airborne Division at Fort Campbell. All that coming up. Stay tuned. 3HL broadcasting live from the Military Women's Memorial Museum at Arlington National Seminary, the 125th Army-Navy game coming up tomorrow. 3HL 104.5 The Zone. If your family is obsessed with Wicked, you're probably wondering how much streaming and memeing your internet can handle at your kid's next Wicked-themed sleepover. Well, Xfinity Internet is powerful enough to handle hundreds of devices, so you can get a magical connection with fast speeds and amazing power, even when everyone is online at the sleepover. With Wi-Fi that's truly thrill-ifying, one might even say Xfinity engineers are secretly wizards themselves. Now through December 22nd, get thrill-ifyingly fast 150 megabit Xfinity Internet for just $35 a month for 12 months with no annual contract and free Wi-Fi equipment included. Go to Xfinity.com to learn more and keep the magic going from your screen to the big screen and see Wicked. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees are extra after the promotion. Regular rates apply. Currently $66 a month. Actual speeds vary.
The newest sports book in Tennessee, that is Zen Sports. I told you about their sweepstakes last month for the big game sweepstakes, the Super Bowl tickets. Well, guess what? Now In December, they're rolling it back with a big game sweepstakes college edition. And here's the deal. Grand prize winner will get $10,000 cash, 2 VIP tickets to the college football championship game, or $15,000 cash as an alternate prize. How do you earn entries? You can earn entries for every bet you place. Hey, listen, we've got Army-Navy coming up this week, and there's a bunch of bowl games in the next week or so. So you got plenty of options. Every dollar you wager, you get an entry. And then if you do parlays, 10 times the entries for every parlay you do. Start betting with Zen Sports. Download their app today or go to zensports.com. Zen Sports, where betting just got better. The app is super easy to use, too. You got a gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Qualifying wager for a wager entry must have minimum odds for any leg in the entry of at least minus 250 or worse American odds. Head to zensports.com/sweepstakes for contest terms and conditions. You got to be 21 and older and in Tennessee to bet.
3HL 104.5 The Zone, broadcasting live from the Military Women's Memorial Museum at Arlington National Cemetery. Britt Doherty, Don Davenport, Ron Slay.
Yes.
Speaking of Rons, we got another Ron.
We got another Ron, the great legendary Ron, though, in this
Riverboat.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Ramon, my brother, Ramon Foster, talks very highly of you coming out there. Where were they just at? Y'all had a conversation, I think, in L.A., maybe?
No, weren't we in
where were y'all just at? Wherever it was like 2 games ago.
Yeah.
But spoke very highly of you, man, and I was like, man, I've never met him, but I would love to meet him. So,
I appreciate
what are your
this.
thoughts on
Look at
Ramon,
that.
real quick, though?
Oh, yeah.
Well, you know what? It was L.A. We were in L.A. We were in L.A. And I really think he's really talented. I really do.
Yeah.
And we had a great conversation about it. And it was neat to share and talk about the different things and what's going on and all
That's
that
good.
stuff. Yeah, it was cool. It was.
Ron Rivera with us on 3HL. Man, it's great to meet you. What do you think about Army-Navy and how great this event is, man? And cool to be in D.C., right?
It really is. It really is. And it to me, it's a tremendous thing just because of I grew up in a military family. My dad was an Army officer, did 32 years career. I was born on an Army base at Fort Ord, California, home of the 7th Infantry. Hoorah.
Nice.
So anyways, just being around it as a kid, and seeing what it meant to the soldiers. Every time the Army-Navy played, everything on base just kind of slowed down so everybody could go watch the games and go to these watch parties. And, and then the kids would be outside playing football games and the GIs would come out and watch us play this tag. Then they'd play their own game and then we'd all huddle around the TV and watch the real game.
Yeah.
That was always neat. It really was. And it didn't matter what the record is. And, this year, one of them being 10-1, the other one being 8-3, the records still don't matter because it's Army-Navy.
Yep.
It's going to be fun. This is one of our favorite games, to be at. And they've been fun to watch this college season, too. I'm curious, it's been one of the most popular topics here in the last couple days with Bill Belichick.
Yes.
I'm sure you get asked about it every hour, right?
I do.
Okay.
I do. Well, I do some broadcasting for the NFL Network.
Yep.
And I was there on the Tuesday morning when talk started to heat up, apparently. And they asked me, what did I think? And I said, honestly, I thought it was brilliant because if you listen to the way Coach talks about his vision and what he envisions this being, and that for the most part really just being the launch pad for a lot of these guys to get into the NFL, why not structure a program built around teaching these guys to be NFL players? And I started thinking, wow. But then I heard these other things about these billionaires that are talking about investing in college football, buying percentages of the team because these teams are very profitable. And so I started thinking, wow, do you imagine if you had 32 billionaires buy football teams? Wait a minute, we already have this called the NFL. But if we did it with the NCAA, it would be a feeder program. So I can see that happening. I really can. It's crazy that it looks that way. But I thought it was brilliant. I think that he's on to something. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see a few more other NFL coaches.
That's what I was going to ask you.
No, I wouldn't be surprised if that happened.
What?
Because,
Are you going to college? Are you announcing
is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not announcing anything.
I know a former offensive lineman that would love to get on staff with you. I'm just saying if we went.
We can help you fill out that staff.
I promise you.
I tell you, it's interesting because, in today's game, you're starting to see a lot of former players get involved. And that was one of the conversations we had about is how many guys have gotten back into the league. And you said this when I first got hired by the Chicago Bears. Part of my job proposal that I wrote the team because I was looking for an internship. And I said, the NFL's greatest natural resources are its former players and coaches. But yet we don't tap into that resource like we do all other things. Why wouldn't we create a situation, an opportunity for former players and coaches to get back into the league doing certain things to help the league?
Yes.
Who knows better than us? Doesn't mean I'll be a better coach than anybody, but what it does mean is I have a different perspective, and I can share that perspective with current players.
Right.
And that's another thing Ramon and I both talked about is what we could give back. And so I see that, and I really do. And I thought, man, that would be something really cool. And that's really what drove me or pushed me to getting into coaching was I really believed I had something I could give back.
Share lessons.
It's such a strange business, the life you chose as a head coach. And I keep thinking about, did you enjoy your time in D.C.?
I did. It was hard. It really was hard, but the challenge was really what drew me here, was trying to do something about the culture. And that was really one of the conversations I had with the previous owner, Mr. Snyder, was changing the culture, doing things the right way, creating an atmosphere where you could at least be proud of who we've become. And I think where we're headed was in the right direction because I think what Dan Quinn and his staff have done with these current players, and then finding the right quarterback in Jane Daniels has really, really sparked this community big time, and it's been really neat to watch.
And I kept thinking, like, if you would have had Jaden Daniels, you'd still be there.
Yeah. It's funny because it's funny. I did an interview, a group interview. And when somebody asked me, what's the difference between your team and the other teams? And I said, quarterback. I know, and that was the response. But that was the response.
Yeah, that went everywhere, too.
Right, but the truth of the matter is this is a quarterback-driven league. Yes. That's the difference. I wasn't trying to take a shot at my current quarterback. What I was trying to say was quarterback is what this league is about. And if you look at the teams right now that are doing well, okay, they're all quarterback driven. You get teams that are doing extremely well. Not only do they have one of the top rushing attacks, but their quarterback contributes to the rushing. See, now that I'm on this side of the world doing a little broadcasting, I get privy to a little bit more information, a little bit more statistical work. And I've been tracking this, and these are some of the trends that I've seen. Is teams that have success run the ball well this year. Teams that have great success run the ball well, and their quarterback contributes to that.
That's right.
And so it's been real interesting just looking at it from a different perspective.
Shoot, same in college.
Yeah,
same in college ball.
You talked about culture. Is it a timestamp you can put on how long it takes a new coach to walk into a franchise?
All right, this is what's interesting.
Because we're down with the Titans.
Yeah, but this is what's interesting. The U.S. military says it takes 3 to 5 years to completely change a culture coming in.
Wow.
And the biggest thing that they have to do is find out who's in and who's out.
Wow.
Okay?
That says a lot.
It does. It really does. So when you should start expecting change right around the third year. Well, my opportunity came in Carolina my third year. Okay, and thank goodness my ownership had patience, because what happened was each year we got better. 5-11, 7-9. You know, we took another step in the right direction, and he said, hey, one more year, dude, let's go. And sure enough, it happened. And you know what? That's also your point. That's when Riverboat Ron was born.
Yeah,
I got to tell you, great story. If you got time, I'll tell you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Ron Rivera with us on 3HL.
After my second year, I had this crazy record of being 3-13 in games decided by 6 points or less. 3-13. Imagine how close we were to being good.
Yeah.
So, I always did. At the end of the year, I would sit down with the owner. We go through a review of the entire year. Then I would talk about what I felt needed to change, what I think we could do to be better, and how certain things had to be changed and worked on. And then I said to him, you know, I wanted to ask your permission. I wanted to reach out to John Madden and ask if he would mentor me. And he starts laughing, and he takes this index card and he slides it to me, and he goes, so I pick up the index card and look at it. It's John Madden with John Madden's phone number. He and I were on the same
path.
I knew Coach Madden from growing up, and then when I played, and he and I knew whenever he did one of our games, he would always ask for me to come into production meetings, so we'd sit down, we'd talk, BS, have a great time. So he started kind of chuckling. He says, we're thinking alike. So I called Coach Madden. He says, Ron, why don't you come see me? And by the way, I understand you're 3-13 in games decided 6 points. I said, yes, sir. He goes, why don't you go back and look at those games and see what you could have done different? Well, when someone like that tells you what do you do?
Yeah, you go break it
down.
You
go back and find something different.
Yeah. Not only do you go down and break it down, you write a report, a 20-page report.
That's right. Yeah.
So I fly out to California to see him, Pleasanton, California, go to his home office. It was called Red Bears Ventures was the name of the company. Go into his office, and it was like the Raiders Museum. I mean, everything Raiders that you could imagine was there. Pictures, footballs, equipment, statues. And in his parking garage was a 7-man blocking sled. Like he always said, he always had one.
Yeah.
He had a 7-man blocking sled in his park. It was serious.
Yeah.
So anyways, we go through this whole thing about, you know, just kind of going back and forth. And I said, whoa, here's this report for you that you wanted me to do. He goes, what report? I said, well, being 3-13. He goes, well, that ain't for me. That's for you. What did you learn? I said, well, I learned I was going by the book. He said, what do you mean you're going by the book? I said, well, I punted here and I kicked the field goal there.
Yep.
And he said, well, what happened? Said, well, they punted, took the ball down, got in field goal position, kicked field goal, beat us. He said we kicked a field goal, went up by 6 or went up by 5, they scored a touchdown, beat us. He goes, exactly. He said, what could you have done? He said, well, could have gone for it. He goes, exactly. And then at that point when I said that, and he said to me, he goes, what book? Ron, what book were you following? I said, you know what I was doing? I was doing what was safe.
Yeah.
Okay, was safe. And at that time, safe was acceptable. Going for it wasn't.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the next season, my third year, I start going for it on fourth down. We open up with the Giants. First series. I went for it twice on fourth down. The last one with 4th and goal, we punched it in to score. What was amazing, though, was after we scored, coming off the field, Cam Newton came right to me and said, "Thanks for trusting me." He said, "I'll never let you down."
Wow.
You know, his fourth down percentage was like 95%.
Wow.
That's how good we became. So then we're playing Minnesota in Minnesota. I went for it on 3 occasions on fourth down. And on one of the fourth downs, it was 4th and 3, and we ran a shovel pass for a touchdown to win, to take the lead and stay in front the rest of the game. After the game, they're interviewing some of the fans. They get to this one fan. They said, "So what do you think about Coach Rivera going for it on fourth down?" He says, "Are you kidding? Oh, Coach Rivera was out there like a riverboat gambler. I'm going to tell you, that old riverboat Ron."
That's hilarious.
That's how it got started.
That's
Some guy made it up on the fly.
You were analytics before analytics.
Yeah. I know I was.
Now everybody goes for it.
But see, that's the thing that's crazy is it had nothing to do with somebody telling me what the numbers say. It was what I had learned, what my gut instinct was, and that was something that I learned to do after that.
Real quick on the way out,
yes,
because we're getting the wrap-up thing. What do you think about Will Levis as a quarterback?
Oh, I think Will Levis has got the physical skill set. He's got some of the mental aspects that you look for, but I also think he tries too much. He doesn't stay within himself. If he stays within himself, if he takes what the defense is giving him, and every now and then it's okay to take the sack. It's okay to throw the ball out of bounds. Okay? You have a chance.
You're preaching what Slay's been preaching.
Oh, I know, but it's true. It's right. Ron is right. It's exactly what you got to do. Is you got to be
wants to
that
win
guy.
too bad.
See, this is what's funny.
Yep.
You want to hear
Too
a dirty? You want to hear a dirty word? A dirty word is game manager. Quarterback. You call a quarterback game manager, they take offense to it.
Yep.
A game manager is a guy that controls the pace and tempo of the game. He plays the game according to what's being given, but he has the skill set and the ability to make the plays when he has to.
Yeah.
Until that point, until it's needed, he takes what's there. He creates what's there, and then all of a sudden, there it is, bam, big play. If you watch the great ones, that's how they play.
Yeah.
You watch Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Tom Brady's not coming out throwing 60, 70-yard passes every time.
Yeah.
No, he's managing the game, and when the opportunity comes up, all of a sudden, Tom rises up and throws that big strike. That's a game manager to me.
May only be 2 or 3 times a game.
Yes.
Can he learn that? Can
Yes,
Levis learn that?
He can if he works at it.
Okay.
Okay? Hey, I'm special. Okay, great. But do I work at it? Well, you don't? Well, guess what? You'll only be special for a while.
There he is. He's Ron Rivera. Thank you for the time, Ron. Great to meet you, man.
No, I appreciate it. It's great to be here, and I really do appreciate USAA helping us push through this as we celebrate the 125th Army-Navy game.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Good evening. It is 5:03. I'm Joe Bonanno live from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. The Titans will host Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday at Nissan Stadium. Coverage on the Zone starts at 9 a.m. with countdown to kickoff. Titans Radio takes over at 11. Mike Keith and Dave McGinnis have the calls starting at noon. No Titans are ruled out for Sunday's game. However, Tony Pollard, Otis Reese, Jalen Duncan, Roger McCreary are all questionable. Saturday, busy day in college hoops. Some notable SEC matchups. Number 2, Auburn faces Ohio State at the Buckeyes Place. Number 5, Kentucky hosts Louisville at Rupp Arena. Number 4, Tennessee on the road versus Illinois. Tip-off for that one is at 4:30. The Ball Network coverage of that one starts at 4. Number 19, Lady Balls back in action as they host North Carolina Central at 1 o'clock. For our foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once in your home of the Titans and Balls. This is 104.5 The Zone.
HL broadcasting live in advance of the 125th Army-Navy game presented by USAA. Brent Doherty, Don Davenport. We call her Babsy.
What up?
What up, Babsy?
Slay Dog is here.
I'm in the building.
And we've got Chris Budden from ESPN here. The two best sideline reporters in the history of sideline reporting on the show at the same time.
Don and I actually go back way long ago. My very first job was in Charlottesville, Virginia, and she worked at Richmond.
That's right.
And she would come cover the Cavs games, the Wahoos.
Wow.
And then we've kind of bounced around because when I was in Knoxville, you were in Nashville.
Yep.
Same time, and now we're both part of ESPN. So way back before we had kids or married or any of that.
Listen.
When I was making $17,000 and carrying a camera and editing all my own stuff.
I'm like, you had 17? I was at like 14.
I used to, so we'd be at Titans practice, and I'd see Dawn. She was at News 2, and she'd come rolling by with her camera and her bag. And,
so glamorous.
And somebody would be like,
days.
somebody would be like, can I help you? And you're like, no, I got it.
I'm like, I'm on it. But you know what? It's still not glamorous.
No, but I do see people like carrying their own camera and doing their own stand-ups. And back in the day, we didn't have the viewfinder that would flip.
Oh, yeah.
And so you would like go and record and then like put an X on the spot. And so I always like see people here shooting their own stand-ups. And I want to be like, do you want me to help frame you up? Oh, no, you have a little cheat sheet with your
That's right. Do you know what we had to do? We had to roll on it, go back and look at it, make sure it was okay.
Walk both hills up.
That's right. In the snow.
Yeah. Chris Budden with us.
I love these war stories.
Well, Chris, you mentioned your time in Knoxville. You got some stories.
Yes.
We're going to get to that. But what do you think about Army Navy? I know we were talking this morning. You haven't been before. Like, how excited are you about this?
I need to buy Kleenex for tomorrow. Just realizing
that's true.
I've done Army games and Navy games, just not Army Navy, and even those I'm like, I'm watching someone who like is doing way more important things than football. And like even the people that we interviewed today, you're just sitting there across from them and they're talking about why they got into service and all. And I was like, I can't even comprehend. Like we had the superintendent of the Naval Academy, she's the first ever woman, superintendent at Navy, and her calling of getting into the Navy, and her husband's a Navy SEAL, and all these things that she's done. And I'm like, I talk about football for like you just feel very inadequate sitting across from these people.
I always tell people all I do is tell jokes on the radio. I mean, look at these guys in uniform walking right behind you.
Yeah.
I'm like, they're literally ready to die at any moment for our country.
The funny part was we were talking to Superintendent Gillen, and he had two cadets sitting next to them, and they were like, yeah, we're really excited. And they start telling stories like, you'll go up and you'll get your water out of the concession stand, and they didn't want to say it in front of the superintendent. And he was like, y'all will all be hungover tomorrow. Like, and you just won't.
It's like the young guys, it's their one weekend where they actually get to have, a little freedom there. So,
is there a stadium that you've worked where you like feel the history of the place more than, say, any other?
I know it might be cliche because I worked in Knoxville for so long. Like the whole power tee, the running out of the tee thing, like that gives you goosebumps every time.
And you're from Texas. Let me point that out.
Yes. So that, I mean, like being inside Cameron Indoor, like there's certain basketball ones. I went to Mizzou, and Fog Island is still maybe the coolest place you ever do a game. And every time I say that, they want to take my diploma away. So there are certain places that you're just like, this is really cool.
That chant right there, I would love to experience that chant, the Fog Island
It's a little
chant.
freaky.
Yeah, it's like
It is.
like
It's kind of weird, but yeah.
creepy, but it's like it's good. it's good at the same time.
Cameron
Yeah.
Indoor, the best.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Tennessee.
You spend a lot of time there.
I was there last week, and then you
Yes.
get knocked in the head by the crazies behind you. Like, it's not the best seat in the house, but it's a cool.
And it's outstanding the way it's set up, like the people being the commentators being perched all the way
up in the little basket.
That's tough. But that feeling when you talk about Tennessee and Ohio State, right? Who do you have coming out of this game? If you had to pick one, and why would you pick them?
It's first of all, you just wonder what the mindset is right now of Ohio State. Like you come off that game to Michigan, you kind of hope that you could play a game right away, and you can't, so you got to sit with that loss. My concern for this is Tennessee. We had the Tennessee-Florida game, and you just seen the ups and downs of the offense. The offensive line has gotten much better, which was supposed to be the strength at the beginning of the year with all these veterans. And you're like, why are these issues? You've seen the growth, up and down of Nico. I think if they're healthy, I don't know what the line is. I'd take Tennessee. What I think would be interesting is what do you think the fan base percentage is? I kind of think 60-40.
Everybody's talking about that. It's
like
a real
that.
thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at what?
I'll add to that
You
40.
know it?
Wow.
Yeah.
I just got
Oh,
to
he
take
just got his ticket.
Just got
Yeah.
How much was it? Oh, you got it for free.
You got to do a couple of things, do a couple of favors, but you get in the building. That's all I'm saying.
I think it might be 64. I mean, you have an apathetic fan base, and you have Tennessee fans that have been itching to go. And then just even everything from the baseball team winning in Omaha, all of this, you start to feel the momentum around just the athletic department as a whole. Yeah. I think the Tennessee fans, any tickets they can get their hands on, they'll be there.
Chris Budden with us from ESPN. So when were you in Knoxville? Let's go through the coaches.
Started in 2008.
Okay,
so that was the last year of Philip Fulmer.
Okay, so you were there when Fulmer got let go.
I was. Okay. I was there for the mattress burning outside of Lane Kiffin's press conference.
That's fun.
I was there 4 days later, I think, when they hired Derek Dooley. I was there for when Dooley had the orange dog and the press conference for I'm teaching guys how to shower because we have staph infections.
Oh, jeez.
Rommel,
the Battle of Normandy,
Bamboo.
Yeah, I was there for Butch. I was there for a little bit of Butch. I was there for.
Oh my gosh, Chris, you were there for the debacle.
You should write a book.
I did. Mark Navy already did the Decade of Dysfunction, right? Yeah. So my last year was 2014. And then they got better. I was there through Bruce Pearl. I was there through Pat to Holly Warlick.
Bring us back, Chris. Bring us back.
Yes.
Chris, okay, can we please go back to the Lane Kiffin night and that just craziness? I mean, you were there in person, standing waiting to hear from him, right? Take us back.
Yeah, so we're told that there's going to be this press conference, and I was off that day. I'd just gotten off a plane from vacation and was about to go play trivia on the Strip, and I get this call from my boss, and he's like, hey, we need you here. Well, now there's a big to-do about it because Kiffin would do a press conference, but he wouldn't allow TV cameras. But everyone else could have an audio recorder. Well,
which is bunk. That's bunk.
My news director was like, wait a second. So all the newspaper and radio, they can have audio, but TV would have no audio. TV, we would have nothing. And so, he's like, this is a public university in a public building, taxpayer dollars. We deserve to have TV cameras.
Oh, I remember hearing that.
It was a whole to-do. So Kiffin comes in, he makes a statement, walks out. And I remember talking to the guys at VolQuest and Brent Hubbs and all of them. They were like, we didn't care because the people that had access to Kiffin would have gotten him anyways. But then, you thought that was the story. And so, okay, now we're going to go do, a live shot. It was also freezing outside. The mast on our live truck froze. And so I'm like, that's the story. But then the story ends up being there's burning mattresses. People are scaling Neyland Stadium. And I'm like, what is going on? And then they get a football coach from Louisiana Tech, and it was just and that was really where the fun began.
Well, I didn't understand why Lane Kiffin felt the need to say anything.
No, it's no one does an outgoing press conference anyways. You didn't owe them anything. I really do wonder,
he felt like he owed them you guys something
I
new.
can see a way of which she comes back to Tennessee. Like, I don't know. Like all this, like, Rich Rod going back to West Virginia. Like,
Scott Frost, too.
Scott Frost going back.
Yep.
And, like, listen, the way that things have gone at Ole Miss, like, would you have a better chance to win at Tennessee than
I would
Ole
say
Miss?
absolutely.
Yeah. And
but Josh Heupel's doing it right now.
Yes, but when there was a question of, like, before Heupel, like, would Kiffin go back? And, like, what would the fan base think? The fan base liked him when he was there. They were, 9-4 that year?
Yep.
Yeah.
And they were bad roster-wise.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, bad. So,
They should blame
almost
Pete Carroll. It's Pete Carroll's fault.
he almost beat Alabama at Alabama.
Yeah.
And he starts going down the field. I'm like, he gets in what he thinks is easy field goal range. It was such an NFL way to think about it. And I was like, dude, you need more yards. And he just started to run into the middle of the line to set up the field goal. I'm like, oh, this isn't going to go well.
Do you know the night I remember most? And it was like a huge buildup. It was like the game leading into Halloween against South Carolina. And there was this whole thing about wearing black jerseys. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
And one of the reporters was like, I know that there's going to be black jerseys. And like this was like back in Tennessee before the smoky grays, like you can't wear anything other than orange and white. And they run out in the ones that look like they were made in my grandmother's basement. They were like half see-through, like the penny jerseys that you wear when you're scout team, okay? And they're so ugly. And then like the very traditional people at Neyland Stadium, they were like, we're out. Like you cannot wear black jerseys. Now everyone's like, we love dark mode.
Dark mode.
Dark mode activated. My husband the other day was like, we're going dark mode activated for the first time in basketball. And I'm like, it's completely changed in a decade.
That was funny, and they did win that game. So there's that.
It looked horrible.
It looked like
the Smoky Grays were not a good record, right?
They've beaten Florida a couple times in them now, but that game in particular, how did he get those uniforms? Because they couldn't be.
Someone had to make them in a basement somewhere.
I'm telling you, they look like I always said.
They were terrible. Chris's grandma.
Montario Hardesty's like running out in this. I do have to share a cool story that happened this year. So when I was there for Florida, Tony Vitello's on the field, and it's a huge recruiting weekend. I see this guy that I used to cover for the Padres, Sean Kelly, and he's there. And I was like, why are you here? And he was like, oh, well, I'm good friends with Max Scherzer. Max Scherzer's good friends with Tony Vitello, and like big recruiting weekend. Why not? Scherzer, I coached you at Mizzou. Like, come here, we'll get him. And I'm standing, like, Scherzer's been to all these places, and I'm standing next to him when they run out of the tee. And he looks at me and he was like, wow, this is really cool. And I'm like, for a guy that's like has made as much money as been wherever he is.
Yeah.
Were you surprised that Napier didn't go for 2?
Yes,
at the end of that? 'Cause it was so quiet.
Why not?
It was so quiet in that stadium.
Although, like, you think about it, is the best thing that happened to them Graham Mertz getting injured?
Think? Lagway coming in? Absolutely.
That's fair.
You've been able to see the dog times with Tennessee, but what is it like when you look at it now and you see basketball thriving, baseball thriving, football and all of this? How much? I know you got to hear about it a lot at home.
It's a way easier. So
I can imagine.
So Thanksgiving weekend, I had a Friday. I had the Egg Bowl, so I'm back home by Saturday, and we're going to watch Tennessee that morning. And again, like Tennessee's got to win to stay in the playoffs. I don't ever watch games with my husband. He played tennis at Tennessee, big Tennessee fan. Vanderbilt runs off opening kickoff, and I'm like, phone is on. He's screaming F-bombs everywhere. So when people are like, do you root for the Vols? I'm like, because my life is a lot easier at home when they win. He walked out of the room and he was like, you are bad juju. And we watched the rest of the game separately on the one weekend that I'm home.
Like, you ain't been here this whole time. We've been good. What's going on?
It's way better.
I love it. Chris Budden with ESPN.
Oh
appreciate you sitting down.
Yeah.
It's good to see you. It's going to be a fun day tomorrow.
I'm excited.
And yes, you will need Kleenex. I'm telling you.
It's very cool.
All right, more 3HL coming up next. Jacob Hester will join us, former LSU running back, NFL running back. We'll talk college football with him as well. That's next, 3HL, 104.5 The Zone. It is football time at Tennessee. Where are you catching all of the college playoffs and pro games this season? Scoreboard Bar and Grill is where you need to be. Scoreboard Opry near Opry Mills Mall in Donaldson is open and warm. Come check out their brand new football menus with new food and drink items that are sure to impress anyone. Some of the best hot chicken, slow smoked ribs, and barbecue. The coldest beer, the largest bushwhacker selection in Nashville, and plenty of free parking. Scoreboard Bar and Grill has its own built-in party. Scoreboard has tons of TVs. They'll have all of your favorite games on with full sound. So if you're watching the college game on Saturday or the NFL stuff coming up on Sunday, you can do it at Scoreboard Bar and Grill. They'll have all the games on. Stick around after the game and party. They always have great music going on as well. Plan your New Year's Eve with a Styx tribute band at Scoreboard Opry, and Nashville Palace will have the Spasmatics on stage, both rocking you into 2025. Follow Scoreboard on their socials for New Year's Eve ticket details and more. Scoreboard, the place to party this holiday season. 3HL broadcasting live in advance of Army, Navy, and man, we're proud, honored, blessed to be able to do this and try to help tell this story of America's game as best we can. This is the 125th edition of the Army, Navy game presented by USAA. Jacob Hester sitting down at the table, former LSU captain, SEC champion, national champion, NFL fullback.
There you go.
Very proud of the fullback moniker because we don't see that very often. But how are you, man?
I'm doing well. This might be the only game in the country, high school, college, or NFL, that's going to feature fullbacks on both teams. So
this is your kind of game.
This is my kind of game.
They're hanging in there.
Although, I will say it's a little different than our typical Army Navy offenses we see. Like it's kind of integrated.
I know they changed the rules. All the cut blocking rules are different. They're trying to take us completely out of the game. I'm glad that they did that when I was done, though, because I would not have played 6 years in the NFL if I couldn't cut guys. I had a size disadvantage, and so oh man, I had to. Hey, they'd always talk stuff to you like, "Why don't you stay up?" No, I'm trying to stay employed.
Yeah, exactly. Stay up for what?
So we worked an Army. Our crew worked an Army and a Navy game this year, and so my analyst Kirk or whatever was teaching us how to defeat the cut block. Yeah. Like this is whatever as far as the triangle, and this is how you defeat it or whatever. So it's fascinating, though.
Everybody's got a plan how to defeat the cut block until it's actually game speed, and I think the defensive guys. Well, I mean, look, they're not the smartest guys already, and so and when the game flow's going, they don't think about it. And if you're doing it right, you can still get them on the ground. Yeah, I think.
There you go. I like it. How crazy has this? So the last time we had you on, I think, was SEC Media Days. How crazy has this college football season been? Did you expect this? I mean,
not this chaos. And look, and I'm a child of chaos. 2007 was our national championship year, and that was like the most chaotic year of all time.
Yeah.
But this one's been close. Anytime we think we know a team, we don't. Anytime we think we got it figured out, we don't. But I love it. I love that. I love the fact that we were in November and there were so many fan bases that were engaged because they still had a chance.
Yep.
Yes.
I mean, there's conference champions that normally wouldn't have had a chance. Like Arizona State wouldn't have had a chance. SMU playing for their conference, they would have had to win that game to maybe get a chance. Gosh, I mean, Notre Dame probably still gets in, but maybe. I mean, the conversation about the NIU loss, Tennessee doesn't get in probably. I mean, there's so many teams that were engaged in a 14 playoff. I don't know how it would have worked out, but I love the fact that we're sitting here, we're talking about meaningful football.
That's right.
With teams and games that normally we like. Look at the Big 12 championship game. Like Cam Scadaboo would not have had that moment.
No.
People would have watched it.
I'll bet you love that guy.
Oh, my gosh. Look, I've got 5 kids. I'll adopt a 6th. I'll do it right
Make
now.
Make a Scadaboo.
I mean, because
he's fun to watch.
Yeah. No, and he would have had his day. Like we would have talked about that day. But now we're talking about him going into the playoff because they now had the chance to be in the playoff. And so I know a lot of people thought it would devalue regular season games. I actually think it's the complete opposite. I think now it's more valuable than ever.
How are LSU fans dealing with this season?
Oh, I mean, you can imagine. You know, it's playoff or bust at LSU.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. And if you don't make the playoff, they are going to complain. And I understand the expectation of a place like LSU, so I get it. And when you look at a couple of the moments this season, like if they beat Florida, they still would have been in the SEC championship game. And so it's like the moments you had that you let slip away, because you had some big wins. You beat South Carolina on the road. You beat Ole Miss at home. But it was the 3-week stretch where you were up 17-7 at halftime against A&M on the road and then just got obliterated in the second half. Then you get same thing by Alabama at home, 42 to whatever. And then, you lose a game to Florida on the road. First time you lost to Florida in 5 years. And so, that was a tough stretch. As y'all know, doing radio close to a college campus, it was not good. The vibes were incredibly low. You save a little face winning the last 2 games against Vandy and Oklahoma. But now it's like today, I don't know if y'all saw it, Brian Kelly put up $1 million of his own money.
I was going to ask
I just sent it to them,
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah. Well, because honestly, he's been, I think, kind of vocal about not having enough when it comes to NIL to be able to compete at the level that LSU should be competing at. So this is kind of his way of saying, all right,
no,
here you go.
Louisiana is not overflowing with cash.
Just in general.
In general. You know? I mean, there's not a lot of billionaires walking around in Louisiana. And so, like, some of the places there is, I mean, you know, they're giving back. I mean, and you lost a quarterback to Michigan because they gave him $12.5 million, and you could only get to like $6 million. Like, and so you weren't competing. And now I think LSU fans and the Boosters Collective, they kind of saw where LSU was, and so there's been a late push of trying to add some resources. And Brian Kelly is saying, I'll match $1 million. You got to be creative, even in a place like LSU, because you know, Texas and some of these other places, they're just going to have, you know, more money than you do to spend. And so I think Brian Kelly, for a long time, he's like, hey, transfer portal, I don't really want to do that. It's going to mess up my locker room. And I think now he's like, oh, I got to do that. Yeah. It's not the divider of the locker room that we all thought it was going to be.
Right.
These college kids don't care. Like, maybe you and I would have cared when we were in college, somebody new coming in, somebody leaving. It's just a different mentality. And so they're going to do a deep dive into the portal this year, where the past 2 years it's been like maybe 6 guys or maybe 7 guys. I would expect like close to 20 guys this year.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, and guess what? That can either be really great or really bad, and I feel like there's no in between.
No, I mean, look at Florida State, right?
Yeah, perfect example. Look at UCF and KJ Jefferson. That one didn't work out.
UCF, Florida State are on this end. Arizona State, Colorado are on the complete other end.
Exactly.
I mean, so it's just, you're right. Like, you don't know how it's going to work itself out, how those players are going to integrate themselves onto your team. It's slippery slope, but you almost have to do it now.
I'm curious about Brian Kelly, because obviously through some of the struggles this season, then cameras are catching him yelling at kids, and kids are yelling back at him, and obviously that's magnified. When you lose, that something like that is going to be magnified. The frustrations are then shown on camera and passed around the world and social media. Do the kids like Brian Kelly? I know that's like a way direct question, but you know what I mean. Like, do they?
I think that's a legit question.
Do they respect him as a coach? Do the athletes like to play for him? Is there any kind of an issue like that going on at LSU?
I mean, I don't see it, and I can tell you this: I know people that work inside of the building in the football program, and they're happier now than they've been in a long time, and they've worked for multiple head coaches.
Okay,
like that's the only thing I can go off of.
No, that's fair.
My interactions with him as a former player have been great.
He's
been very welcoming to me. I'm able to go inside the building. I can go work out if I want to, like things like that. So it's been good from that aspect. I haven't heard of that, and also
you would have heard.
Yeah, I
feel like you would have heard something.
Yeah, I think.
And listen, there's a lot of coaches out there, you know, that, I mean, I see it on the sideline all the time, that just rip their kids, but then outside of that, it's love them hard, coach them hard, love them hard.
Here's my problem, and Ron, you probably can appreciate this too. I played for Nick Saban. He used to rip our ass all the time. I played for Jimbo. Same thing. And I love Jimbo. Jimbo does radio with me every Tuesday now. I play for Kirby. Like, y'all. That's
those three rip some players.
Do. Like, we got mad at Brian Kelly because he's telling a receiver, like, what he did wrong, and the kid's walking away. He's like, you're not coachable.
Right.
He wasn't coachable in that moment. So, like, I don't understand why people are getting mad at coaches, like, for coaching. That's just, maybe it is different, Don, to your point. Like, it is different now. You don't see that as much.
Right.
But, like, that was
because it's a different group of kids, too.
That was every series when I came off the field almost. Like, Coach Saban was whispering sweet nothings to me. I mean, that's just,
whether you did what you were supposed to do or not, right? You heard something.
And I grew up with a Marine dad. Like, that's how I was coached growing up. I like it. If a coach ain't talking to me, I'm in trouble.
I was just going to say, if you come off and they ignore you and just go down, you're like, I ain't coach, why you ain't say nothing to me? Okay, well, let me go ahead and do something crazy again. So,
I mean, even in the NFL, like, I can remember coming off the field and I'm like, Coach, North Turner was my coach. Great guy. I mean, I'd be like, North, my bad. He'd be like, well, sure as hell wasn't my bad. I mean, like things like that is what I don't know. That's what I loved. I mean, I don't know. So, like, to your point, though, I mean, it's a fair question to ask because it's different now, but that's just the way I was. That's how I played. So,
Jacob Hester with us on 3HL. You still doing like 7 hours of radio a day?
I am. Yeah.
We're locked in, man.
With 5 kids.
With 5 kids. And my wife, man,
rock star.
It is, yes. And so this year I added doing LSU games on the radio.
Okay.
I was supposed to only do the away games. And then the guy who's done it for like 50 years, he had some stomach issues and he had to have a surgery. He's good now, but they're like, hey, can you also do the home games? And so I agreed to do that, and it's been a lot. It's been a lot because I do have 5, and my oldest is playing high school football. He's a freshman. He got some varsity time this year.
So, what position?
Left tackle.
Okay.
Left tackle. He's a big boy. He's 6'2", 245.
Wow. As a
As a
freshman?
freshman, so he's a big boy.
Right.
So
We need those. I'll tell you what, man. If you can get it done in the trenches, you could have a long career.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, like, I don't know if I can do it much longer because I can't miss him playing. Like,
Right.
if LSU's on the road, you travel on Friday. If he's out there on varsity, I ain't missing that.
Yeah, they might get the charter together.
Yeah, so I don't know how much longer I'll do it. This year was a lot of fun, but we are maxed out on things we can do daily for radio.
Just get a private plane like Herbie.
Yeah.
So I tell people, I'll tell you a quick story. I'm the great value version of Herbie. Okay, so I did Red River. I did Texas OU. We did a great pregame show. We did the whole deal. Went into the stadium, and then I had to get an Uber, go to the airport, fly to New Orleans, get in a car in New Orleans, go to Baton Rouge, get dropped off in an Uber right in front of the stadium because I did LSU Ole Miss that same day. And I was like sitting here thinking, now again, like, you know, Herbie's got a private plane or whatever. I did it a different way than he would. I was like, how in the world does he do this every week?
Every weekend.
I was exhausted for like the next 3 days.
Plus the Thursday night game.
Plus the Thursday
Yeah,
night.
it's different. It's totally different.
So, college football playoff, just incredible, man. It's amazing, like how much fun we've had just talking about college football in more detail and more depth and so many more storylines. Do you think this goes in a couple of years like a lot of people do, 14, 16, somewhere in there?
Probably so. I don't know what the right number is, and I hope it doesn't just continue to grow. Like, let's workshop. Let's see how it does for 12 for a little bit, just like we kind of did with 4, and we realize, okay, there's things we want to do with 4, but I love 12, 14. Maybe that's the number they settle on. I don't know, eventually where they get to. 12 seems like a good number, though. I mean, look, we had great debates. We had teams that absolutely deserved to be in. We had teams that were up for a debate. We had teams that found their way in. I think it was very competitive.
Want, right?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I'm okay with 12.
Don't water it down.
Yeah, like 16 seems like a lot.
That's a lot.
16 seems like a lot of teams, maybe 14, but I like 12. Let's let it play out. Let's see how it goes before we make a change there.
Speaking of playing out, man, we're right there in Tennessee. So Tennessee versus Ohio State. Give me your breakdown. What you think the strengths of both teams are and how they can take advantage of either.
Well, obviously Ohio State is a team that likes to run the football just like Tennessee. I mean, this game's going to be a quick game. I mean, it's going to be one where I think both teams try to impose their will on the other, and who can get that done and which quarterback can make a play, which one can make the play. They're not going to be asked to make a ton of plays, but when they are asked to make the play, can they make it? And I think that there's a big, and y'all know this because y'all do it every day, but there's a big misconception of what Tennessee is. More than any team in this 12-team playoff, they run power and counter, which is a gap scheme, downhill run. We're not trying to hide from you. And everybody assumes they're finesse. And I don't just because you go fast doesn't mean you're finesse. They want to run the football as much as anybody in this playoff. And they do it out of 11 personnel, which I credit them because you can do it out of whatever personnel you want to. So Tennessee is going to come downhill at Ohio State. Yeah. And it's going to be a physical game.
Right.
And I can't wait to see which style works out. Because I think, Sampson being the offensive player of the year in the SEC, he should have been.
Yes.
By the way, I watched that guy play in high school for 4 years in Baton Rouge, and how in the world he got out of Baton Rouge.
Yeah, that wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah, I don't know. But
don't sound like he wanted to get out of there either.
No. That's a big recruiting miss there. He's as good as anybody in the country at the running back position outside of Ashton Genty. Yeah. Right? I mean, he can make every single run. I think Tennessee has every chance in this game. The cold weather ain't going to bother them.
Right.
It gets cold. It was snowing the other day in Knoxville.
People don't understand. People do not understand it.
Nobody understands how cold. I've been in Knoxville in November when it's been freezing cold, much less late December. They're going to be fine there. That's not going to affect them. It's going to come down to can Nico or Howard, which one makes the play when it presents itself? Because I do believe that there's going to be success on the ground for both teams. Yeah. But the quarterback's in this one because there's been a lot of good, but there's been some inconsistencies. Which one's going to make the play?
So who do you think wins it all?
Wins it all? If I had to go to a tier system, I would probably say chalk, Oregon 1, Texas 2, Notre Dame 3. I think Notre Dame.
So you like where Notre Dame is?
I think Notre Dame, I like where they're at, and I think they're very undervalued. I think they're highly undervalued. Their defense, Jeremiah Love at the running back position, Riley Leonard's tough as a $2 steak.
Yeah.
I mean, they're built for like a playoff run.
Why are they undervalued, though? Not playing in the conference, not sitting against their competition?
You know how it is. I think Notre Dame in the conversation, not in the conference championship game. And they lost. They had the worst loss of anybody in the playoff by far.
But it was a long time ago.
They've been beating the hell out of people.
I mean, the hell out of people.
Yes. Like no let up.
Yeah. There he is. He's Jacob Hester. You can catch him on the radio all day long if you want to.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, man. Always good to see you.
Yeah, always a pleasure. I'm
Appreciate
it. Yep.
Yep, absolutely. Our coverage of Army-Navy broadcasting live from the Military Women's Memorial Museum at Arlington National Cemetery. We've got more coming up, and, man, this is a special one. Major General Brett Sylvia is the commanding general of the 101st Airborne Division at Fort Campbell. He is next. 3HL 104.5 The Zone.
All right, y'all, listen up, man. It is hard to believe, but the holiday time has arrived. Christmas is here, and you got to get over to Brentwood Jewelry and make Christmas shopping easy. Take all of the stress out of it. Let them do the work for you. Exceptional style, exceptional deals every day for over 50 years. Why wouldn't you want Brentwood Jewelry to make it so much easier? Go into the location at 7012 Church Street East, located in the heart of Brentwood, just off Franklin Road, and get what? Exactly what you've been looking for. Fine jewelry, watches, engagement rings, whatever it may be. Bring in that priceless heirloom that has transformed, and you can pass it down generation to generation to generation. And ladies, if you're looking for ideas on that special man in your life, Brentwood Jewelry is the place for watches. Check them out. Pre-owned Rolexes, gift them with a fine pre-owned Rolex for a fraction of the cost. Every watch has been meticulously serviced to ensure the highest level of performance, and is presented with a 2-year warranty. Don't get much better than that. All you got to do is hustle on in, 7012 Church Street East, right there in the heart of Brentwood. You want some style, you want deals, it's all been exceptional every day for over 50 years. BrentwoodJewelry.com.
Stop letting high-interest debt weigh you down. You can pay it all off in days, and that's thanks to Loan Pronto and their new Rapid Equity Loan. Imagine completely hassle-free way to cash out your home equity with no appraisals, no paperwork, no waiting. That's Loan Pronto and the Rapid Equity Loan that uses AI-driven technology, by the way, to get you approved for cash out in as little as 1 day. They had one person that got $100,000 approved in under 24 hours, wiped out their debt, launched a home improvement project, is now saving over $1,000 a month. We got money out with Loan Pronto to do our backyard project we've talked about. Instant approvals, low fixed rates, fast transfers. There you go. Call Loan Pronto. See how much you qualify for. Imagine this time next week you could be credit card debt free. 615-499-5780. That's loanpronto.com at 615-499-5780. loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. On approved credit, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
I love living in Middle Tennessee. We've got great restaurants, entertainment, sports, and one of the nation's top Ford dealers right here in our backyard. Two Rivers Ford. Remember that name. Two Rivers has been a staple in our community since 1983. They're locally owned. They have a non-commissioned sales team, and they sell below MSRP. They've been doing business with integrity for decades. Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer.
3HL broadcasting live in Washington, D.C. Army-Navy game presented by USAA coming up tomorrow. And we are physically in the Military Women's Memorial Museum at Arlington National Cemetery. Major General Brett Sylvia joins us on 3HL. Serves as the commanding general of the 101st Airborne Division at Fort Campbell. Major General, thank you for joining the show. We really appreciate you being here, and thank you for what you do.
It's a real pleasure to be with you.
Having said that, what do you do?
As you already said, I'm the commanding general of the 101st Airborne Division, Air Assault, the world's only Air Assault division. And we've got about 20,000 troopers that are there at the 101st, and we provide a capability for the Joint Force that allows us to project combat power pretty much further than just about anybody else.
The 101st Airborne Division is this year's honorary division for the U.S. Army in this Army-Navy game and this weekend. What does that mean to you and the men and women on post at Fort Campbell?
It's a tremendous honor for us to be able to have the Army team wearing the 101st. The game's on December 14th. December 16th is when we begin the 80th commemoration of what happened at Bastogne. So 80 years ago, you had a force there from the 101st that was surrounded at 5-1 in terms of enemy to friendly that were there, and General McAuliffe was given one order: hold Bastogne.
Yeah.
And so him and the fierce fighting that occurred there, they displayed all of the same dedication, courage, sense of duty that I like to think that we still have in our soldiers there in the 101st today.
So they ended up in that situation because there were 7 roads that all led into Bastogne, right? Was it 6 days?
So it was a critical road juncture, as you stated. They had to hold that critical road juncture because if they were able to break through there, it would have just kind of changed the tide of what was going to happen on that eastern flank there. And so from December 16th until December 26th, so 10 days, that they had to hold that until finally that armored column was able to come in and punch through there.
Completely surrounded by the Nazis.
That's right. Yeah. And I'm sure you've heard the story. General McAuliffe, the Germans sent him a note and said, hey, we've got you surrounded. We think you should surrender. And he just sent one word back: nuts. And and I think that we couldn't have put together any better response.
The Army uniform honors the storied legacy of the 101st Airborne Division. We saw they've got the uniforms displayed right outside the museum or in the lobby. So cool.
Yes.
I mean, that's got to be a great honor too.
Well, it's amazing, and it was a great video that brought that out and displayed that.
Incredible.
And when you think about it, we were born in World War II. So in 1942, our first commanding general, General William C. Lee, issued out his General Order Number 5, and in that he said, "We have no history, but we have a rendezvous with destiny." He said that we will be habitually called into action when the need is immediate and extreme. And he says it's appropriate that we wear the Screaming Eagle on our shoulder because we will descend upon our adversaries like a thunderbolt from the skies. And so when you think about, that's how it started. And then fighting behind enemy lines in Normandy, fighting behind enemy lines at Market Garden, and then again find themselves in a similar predicament there at Bastogne, always displaying that same sense of courage and determination.
Major General Brett Sylvia from the 101st joins us on 3HL.
How fun has it been to watch this Army football team this year and what they've been able to do?
What a year, right?
Incredible.
What a year. And when you think about, what they are doing, we like to think it's an Army game because they are dominating the ground game there. And they've got the stats to prove it. They're a tremendous team this year, and we're really excited.
It's funny. So I actually worked an Army game this year, I think when they played North Texas, and dominate your job was the motto on defense. And I'm like, that's just the motto in general, right? For these young men.
Absolutely, right? And I love the fact that, when you look at some of the statistics that they've got amongst all college football, I think they're number 2 in terms of, sacks that they've given up. What a tremendous offensive line, kind of leading the way in terms of possession time, right? Those are things that we like to think that we do in the Army, is that we set the tempo against our adversaries, and that's what I think this Army football team's doing too.
What a great point.
That is. On a personal basis, you've been through a lot, stoic, you lead men. What makes the hair stand up on your arm? What situation have you been in where it's like, the little anxiety creeps in. Like, okay, for me personally, playing basketball, before the game, when I come out the tunnel, the anxiety hits me. You see the fans, and the hair stands up, and you're like, oh, this is it. What have you been through that makes the hair stand up?
Yeah. So I will tell you one thing that I love about the 101st, all right, as an aerosol division, is our ability to project this combat power, right? So recently we did a mission where we flew from Fort Campbell, Kentucky, down to Fort Johnson, Louisiana, 575 miles. Taking a brigade combat team, about 3,000 soldiers, hundreds of pieces of equipment. You want to talk about something that puts the hair up on your arms, is watching that armada of helicopters, 80 some odd helicopters that are all flying through the air and landing, in an enemy's backyard.
Yeah.
And then, Apache helicopters shooting, artillery shooting to set the conditions. That kind of, synchronized combined arms maneuver, but just the massive combat power. I know that because it's mine,
right?
It makes me feel good. But if I was an enemy, I'd be running.
You hear that noise? It's I'm with you. I'm with you.
What was it that sent you down the military path?
Yeah. My father is Panamanian. And so he was living down in Panama with his mother, and then my soon-to-be grandfather was stationed down in Panama. Met my grandmother, married her, adopted my father, and my father became an American citizen.
Wow!
And so service to our nation is something that's always been ingrained in our family. So from a very young age, I wanted to be like my grandfather, serve in the Army. He said, "Hey, I want you to join the Army too." He said, "Just don't do it like I did. Take a different, a little path here." But so both my brother and I joined the military, and service to our nation is something that's just always been a hallmark of our family.
What is the most difficult? I probably shouldn't ask it like this because there is nothing difficult, right? There are hard things, but you do hard things. But the part of your job and what you do right now, what's maybe the most challenging part of your job?
Most challenging thing. If I look across kind of our career, I would tell you that the hardest thing that you ever have to do is to be able to inform a family member that their service member is not coming home, right? To spend that time with that family. It is a reminder that what we do is a dangerous job, right? But we have people who are willing to do it, who are willing to step into a situation that in some cases could be very dire, and they know that they may not be coming home from that. And so we have great leaders who inspire them to do it. We have great soldiers who commit themselves to a purpose that's higher than themselves. But the most difficult thing is always being able to have to go back to those family members and say that their service member is not coming home.
Yeah.
Major General Brett Sylvia joins us on 3HL. Serves as the commanding general of the 101st Airborne Division at Fort Campbell. Thank you for the time, Major General. We really appreciate it. Honored to have you on the show.
Yeah, it is a real pleasure to be here, and I can't wait to see Army beat the hell out of the Navy.
I was going to say, sing second, right?
Yeah.
That does it for 3HL today. Pay attention to our socials tomorrow as we'll be at the game, and we're looking forward to the 125th Army-Navy game. Man, fun day here.
Absolutely. Couldn't plan this no better.
Appreciate you guys including us in your day. We do not take that for granted, nor do we take that lightly. Good night. God bless.
See ya.
Wouldn't want to be you unless you're High J Spheres, NWI, or, according to the general, Major General, the Navy.
Mm-hmm.